battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes them America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
It's Schaefer and Sliwa. Sean Schaefer. San Diego's own Alan Sliwa. Here's Schaefer and Sliwa.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Schaefer and Sliwa on remote from Novo, Brazil, Otay Ranch on this gorgeous Thursday afternoon. We're going to be hanging out for the next 3 hours. If you are in the South Bay, in South County, and you want to hang out, you can. We're going to be here at a spectacular place now. We've got a great show lined up over the next 3 hours, including some giveaways. But this is the spot to be for the next 3 hours. There's a lot of action going on tonight, including the NBA Finals. Come hang with us for the next couple
if you're
of
out
hours.
in Chula Vista, Otay Ranch area, be here till 6 o'clock. You got a very important SDSU event after that. So, nobody wants to get in your way.
Of course.
But I'll be hanging out. Look at these TVs everywhere.
I know.
We're set up perfectly. There's going to be a couple of times where you try to talk to me, and it's going to be in the middle of the replay of Game 6 or Game 5 of Thunder San Antonio. So I'm saying, try to kind of carry your own today.
I'm going to
try to watch the game.
I'm going to do the best that I can.
Sounds good.
By the way, we've been doing the talkback question of the day.
Yep.
And today we get some news that Major League Baseball's owners have made their first proposal for the next CBA, and yesterday the Players Union put out their first proposals.
Right.
Why don't we throw out on the talkback, Mike? Are you in favor of a salary cap in baseball?
It's good. That's a good one. Yeah.
Are you in favor of a salary cap in baseball? I would love to hear from our listeners today. The way to weigh in on that. By the way, just by weighing in on the talkback, Mike, you're eligible for a 4-pack of tickets.
Got a chance to win a
to the
badass
San Diego
prize.
County Fair. But here's what you need to do. Open the iHeartRadio app. If you don't have it, it's free. Search for San Diego Sports 760.
Mm-hmm.
Click the talkback microphone and tell us in 30 seconds, that's how long the talkbacks last, if you're in favor of a salary cap in baseball or not. By doing that, you're eligible to win a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair. This is very topical today. We've heard from the commissioner. We'll actually hear from the commissioner momentarily here on Schaefer and Sliwa.
Mm-hmm.
But we all know what we're likely heading for, Alan, which is obviously two sides that have this distrust and this distaste for each other. And will this finally be the year where the next CBA presents a salary cap in the sport or not? Or do we kick the can, so to speak, down the road?
Yeah, this is the start. It started yesterday, really, you could say. Even though most people everybody just kind of has this assumption. And could it change between now and the time that, obviously the current agreement expires? Or can, but I don't think anybody's expecting that there isn't going to be at least some type of a lockout, that there isn't potentially going to be some baseball that's lost in order to try to get baseball in the proper structure. And I know you and I can kind of go over what our opinion is. And I'm not telling you I trust either side. Like at the end of the day, both sides are going to look out for themselves. But what I will try to do, and these conversations, will obviously go on for a while. What I'll try to do is what's in the best interest from a competitive perspective. And that's the only thing that I really care about, because I want the San Diego Padres that every season when it starts, they're either successful because their players came through, their front office came through, or they're not successful because their front office made terrible decisions or the players didn't come through. But what I don't want to see happen in baseball is have it be so lopsided one way or the other, and it's all based on financial. It doesn't mean you're guaranteed to win if you got the most money, but what it does mean is you got a lot more outs than some other teams.
Consider this, and we'll hear from Rob Edford.
Yep.
This is the first proposal by owners to put a salary cap into the sport since the strike in 1994. This is the first time it's even been proposed since 1994. That alone is historical. Then consider on the opposite side of this hard cap proposal is what the players came up with yesterday, which was, hey, raise the CBT threshold. Move that number from $200-something million all the way up to $300 million. Double the major league minimum for players. So one side says, let's put a hard cap at 244 and we'll have a floor as well, but let's have a hard cap. The other side is saying, you know what? Let's not even tax until these teams reach $300 million, and let's have absolutely no cap. Unless you go over $300 million, let's just tax it like we've been doing at 244.
Yeah, nobody's serious right now. Right. I think, you're kind of just, you're going to throw so many things in the way. So you can, and even things that are never going to get approved, but you're just saying to yourself, well, maybe if I throw this in and they want to take this out later, that's not a big deal, but that's going to get us to where we ultimately want to get to. That's obviously where the negotiations are starting.
All right, let's hear from Rob Manfred. This was on with Pat McAfee on ESPN on the growing payroll disparity right now in baseball.
Right. We got it. Look, our payroll gap from top to bottom is $446 million. That's not a fair fight, and the numbers really bear out that it's not a fair fight. If you have a high payroll, you're much more likely to make the playoffs. And if you have a high payroll, your chances of going to each of the successive rounds are massively higher than a low payroll club. And, look, fans want competition. That's what it's about at the end of the day. And we need to get that one fixed.
All right, Rob Manfred, the commissioner of
Pat
baseball.
McAfee.
Yeah, again, I think each side is going to try to get their message out. I do recognize, it is historic that owners this time around are going to try to do this. I'll move us here on YouTube. It is historic that they'll attempt to do this because it hasn't been attempted since the strike. We didn't even have a World Series in 1994. Every CBA since, Alan, they've gotten cute and creative, and they've eventually come to an agreement, and we haven't had a work stoppage. But they haven't gotten to the crux of the matter, which is what the commissioner touched on. You got a $500 million disparity, less than that, but whatever. A $400 million disparity between the top spending team and the least spending team in the sport. Obviously, that's problematic.
What do you get as you look at baseball, what to you would be the one thing that you'd like to see changed in the next 6 months, 8 months, year, whatever the case is, however long it takes for them to come up with an agreement? What to you stands out the most of this has to be fixed in baseball?
That. Yeah, I mean, I would agree that the disparity is too much. I've said this before, and I don't know how realistic this is or not. I'm way more a fan of a floor. All things being equal, if you're going to do something between a floor and a ceiling, I'm putting a floor in. Because I think by putting a floor in, you're raising the spending on just as many teams as then if you put a cap in, the spending would come down. The bottom third need to spend more. Bringing the top third back to earth, so to speak, yeah, I understand that from a competitive balance perspective. But I think I'd prefer to see the bottom come up, almost like some of the anti-tanking policy.
So I want to
tell
me what the benefit would
bottom.
Be. Okay. What would be the benefit there?
The benefit of the teams at the bottom spending more?
Let's say teams at the bottom start spending more. How for the health of baseball, just give me your vision of why that changes everything.
I mean, I think from a players' union perspective, the issue probably is right now there's only 5 teams that spend.
Mm-hmm.
So, to have a healthy union and a healthy sport, I think from a player's perspective, you would want the salaries across the board to go up.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
let's say that happened. Let's just play out what you said. There's the bottom third of Major League Baseball. They're not spending enough, and now they got to spend $150 million is going to be the floor. Right. Let's pretend or it's 125, whatever the number is, right? Let's just say that comes up. Do you now think the competition in baseball is now okay? Hey, this is a fair fight across the board.
Well, I don't know if I get that point. I don't know if I need to see a fair fight across the board. Mm-hmm. I might want to see something that's more fair, but I always go back to Tampa, what they do in the scrap heap has the best record in the American League, and that's a credit to the front office. Or Milwaukee sells off parts yet continues to win. They've reached the postseason 6 consecutive years. Yes, it's true. The Dodgers have won 3 of the last 5 World Series, including each of the last 2. Their spending is a part of that story. I completely agree with that. I 100% understand it. But to just say, hey, everyone's got to spend the same for the competitiveness of the sport, I could argue, well, it's not like all the spenders only win and all the teams that don't spend don't win. Mm-hmm. Rob Manfred kind of made that point. Yes, the Dodgers have won the last 2 World Series. We don't know what's going to happen this year. Tampa's got the best record in the American League, and they're going to be run circles around from a spending perspective by teams like the Yankees.
Yeah, I honestly have no idea how anyone can make a case that the way baseball is structured today allows for equal competition. And I'm not even putting this pointing the finger in one direction or another. I think good franchises are going to be good franchises no matter what. So I think whether you have a floor, you have a ceiling, or you have a salary cap, whatever the case is, the good franchises are going to stand out. I think Tampa's still going to continue to be good. I think the Dodgers are still going to continue to be good. My biggest issue in baseball is, let's keep this thing local and let's use the Padres.
Mm-hmm.
The Padres have had to do some things that most people would say that's a little idiotic for the Padres to be this extreme one way or do this. And I think they felt like they had to do it because they have no other choice, they feel like, from competing with those within their own division, let alone all of Major League Baseball. I have a difficult time how anyone can look at some of these other sports. We'll look at the NBA, we'll look at the NFL. The way these teams are winning, it doesn't mean that you can't be a team that spends less and have success, and it also doesn't mean that you can't be a team that spends as much as anybody and have failures. It doesn't mean that. Like it's not. I don't think it's simple. I don't think it's that simple where it's black or white. But how does anybody look at the NBA and the NFL and not say, are we sure we don't want a model or a structure like that where at least you are rewarded for when you run the right front office? But you also know that you can't go sign Shea and Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic and Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah.
Because if you took that away from the NBA teams would do that. Because some NBA teams can make X amount of dollars and other NBA teams are just in other markets they can't.
I think, listen, I understand the point. And it's easy to just say put a salary cap in baseball. I'll make this point.
I don't think the salary cap is the only thing. I think there's more to it than just a salary cap.
There's a lot that we can get into, but I think the salary cap will be the sticking point and talking point throughout this negotiation. Like, can they push this through or not? I could easily make the argument, and it's not. I'm not like strictly against the salary cap. I just don't see it. I think if they continue to push for it, we'll probably miss a ton of games in 2027. Who knows how it gets resolved? But here's my point. It's like, yes, the Padres are trying to keep up with the Joneses over this decade, right? And they spent unlike they've ever spent in the history of the franchise.
And they have a lot of terrible
contracts. I can easily argue that was a mistake on its face, and if they never went about that path, they would have just as good of a chance of winning the World Series. I could easily make that case right now. The Machado extension is an albatross. The Tatis extension or contract is looking worse by the day. I mean, a million examples. Cronenworth, Mayer, Guards,
I agree.
Musgrove.
I agree.
You know what I mean? So Darvish.
I agree.
But you're right. That goes back to the front office.
Let's say you decided that let's not go and sign any of these guys. All right, just again, let's kind of use the big picture of things. You getting this many people coming to Petco Park anymore? Are you even hanging with some of these teams? Are you making the playoffs 4 out of 6 years where you give yourself an opportunity to just be in the mix? Because baseball is that one sport where it's like if you get in, anything can happen. I mean, I don't even. I'll tell you if they got a salary cap in baseball, I don't even know how much that would benefit the Padres because the Padres almost need like a full reset at one point. They almost need to they will need to in certain amount of time when that window is closed, they are going to have to basically say, yeah, the way we win games is going to be different than the way somebody else wins game. The only thing I'm asking for in baseball is let every market have a shot before this thing even starts. Even if the Dodgers didn't win these, let's say the Padres got past the Dodgers in that game 5, they won 3-2 in LA.
Right.
Let's say last year Toronto beat the Dodgers in game 7. I'd still be saying the same exact thing because the problem, I think people are looking way too much at what is the end result, and that's all they're looking at. Did they win a World Series or did they not win a World Series? The problem is, and I'll go back to the same point that I made from the beginning, why should one franchise have 10 different ways to win and another franchise gets one way to win? Basically, everything's got to go perfect for that one franchise.
Well, if it's not, then okay. So we'll talk about this on the other side. If it's not only about a salary cap, because again, the cap prevents teams from going at it 6 or 8 or 10 different ways. Because ultimately, it's about spending.
But that's what you want.
So if there's something other than the cap, what else is it?
On top of the cap,
exactly.
Because I do think you need a cap.
The cap the end all be all.
I think the cap. I think the cap at least puts the playing field back in. Now it's like, hey, if your front office was dumb enough to go sign these contracts, that's on you. By the way, you know what franchise is going to be really, really good if there's a cap?
Who's that?
The Dodgers. Because they're a well-run organization.
Right. Either way, they'd be successful. All right.
But what they can't do is what you don't want them to be able to do is you have. Basically, you could shut down starters during the middle of the season because we don't even need these guys now. We just need them come postseason.
Because we have these resources that other teams don't have. All right, on the other side, more of your commentary on that. Hit us up on the Talkback mics. Do you want to see a salary cap in baseball or not? Open the iHeartRadio app, search for San Diego Sports 760, click that red microphone icon. By doing that, you're eligible to win a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair. Good show lined up. J.D. Wicker will join us at 5:30. We're talking NBA Finals with Mark Rogers in Oklahoma City at 5. Dan Laing, MLB Network Radio. We can talk to him about these negotiations that are now underway. He'll join us coming up at 4:15 here on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, Schaefer and Sliwa, you can get those talkbacks in if you want to weigh in. Does baseball need a salary cap? Do you want to see it in the sport? Open the iHeartRadio app, search for 760, click the red talkback mic. By doing that, you're also eligible to win a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair. Let's hear from someone off the talkback mic about the salary cap and then react.
Well, what's up, guys? Austin from Vista again. Not only do I think we need a salary cap, they need a salary floor. You got to bring the lowest spending teams back up to par, and then also you got to rein in these teams like the Dodgers, the Mets, etc., who are spending an absorbent amount of money not only on their players but on the coaching, training, and everything else behind the scenes. It's gotta level out somehow.
All right. Thank you, Austin, for the talkback. You can do the same by opening the app and searching for 760 and hitting that talkback mic.
By the way, Padres are on that list too. Like they're as far as top 10 spenders in Major League Baseball.
They're actually over the number right now that Major League Baseball proposed today.
Yes,
for the hard cap.
So you would need to shed. Padres would be one of those teams that need to shed salary as well. Which again,
you don't have a problem with.
I got no issue with. Listen, at the end of the day, I go back to it. I think the deferral things is the most like it just makes absolutely no sense to me. The deferrals makes no sense. Maybe they never thought it was going to be used to this, and credit teams that are using it to their advantage. It's kind of not their fault. And I'll go back to this. I want to make sure I make the point. If today you told me if the Padres had $100 to spend, the Dodgers had $100 to spend, the Giants had $100 to spend, Arizona and Colorado, usually our teams in the division, everybody had $100 to spend. I think Colorado would find a way to probably screw it up. Okay. I think the Dodgers would probably find a way to spend that $100 properly. I think the Padres would kind of be somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, you give credit where credit's due. But what you don't want is there's such it's not just, the Dodgers. There's other teams that are included in this as well. Listen, you want to bring a floor up, that's fine. You want to force teams that you're just basically cashing in and you don't care about spending on your own product and your fan base is now not even supporting your team. That's BS too. You want to obviously have all these teams compete. I got no issue with that. Again, I just want to walk into a season and say we were not good enough because our front office made certain decisions or our players made certain decisions. That's how I want to lose. And that's how also I want to win. I want to win because maybe something went your way. Like that's part of the game of baseball. You're still going to have good franchises be good franchises. But why would you allow franchises to have this much of an advantage? Why?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting point. Here's the thing. I don't know.
Disagree.
No, I do disagree. Here's the reason why I disagree.
Trying to figure this out. Why?
It's the capitalist, I think, in me. That I don't need to have an equal system.
So you don't do you not like the basketball system? Honestly, you could tell me.
We've hammered on the NBA over the 8 weeks we've done this show.
Yeah, but what have we hammered on?
The teams intentionally try to take advantage of the rules, which is the same thing will happen because there's a cap in that sport, and teams are still trying to take advantage of the rules to benefit their team.
But teams that are having success today, they're also watching that the Oklahoma City Thunder were bad for a number of years on purpose in order to put themselves in the position that they're in today. The San Antonio Spurs were bad on purpose in order, fix that. Yeah, and they're in the process of fixing that right now.
Yeah, I guess.
But would you be okay? Would you be okay if, again, I'll go back to you got these big market teams. You would be all right with one squad spending $400 million and another squad spending $100. You'd be okay with that?
I'd be okay with it, yes, because I'm a baseball fan. It's been going on. So, and I'm not sitting there putting my foot down saying I'm not going to consume it. I'm not watching it. I'm not a fan. It's not right. It's not fair. So it's not how I consume the sport. I don't go into the season saying it's not right what Pirates fans have to deal with. What's not right is the Pirates ownership. The Pirates ownership situation isn't right. We're not going to force an ownership group to be good. To your point, you could put a cap in. They're still going to be the worst team in the sport, and there's going to be a best team in the sport. So do I have a better chance to win because a cap is in place? Maybe some teams could argue yes. I could argue the opposite side. I've made this point before. If you put a cap in place right now, I think the Padres might be one of the teams that is most negatively impacted. Why? Because you're bringing the bottom up. Right now, 10 of these teams aren't trying to win. You're one of the 20 that are. You want 30 teams trying to win? It's a lot harder to win.
Oh, I will. I'd be more than happy to take my chances
if everyone's
knowing that also the teams up top are going to come down as well. Like, think about that for a second. I think first off, the squads that are going to come up, because now there's more teams trying to win, but you're going to have these Goliaths that are up top that are also going to come down. They're also will get exposed. Some of these front offices will get exposed as well. It's not just like, I think we naturally want to talk about one or two teams, but I think it's a much bigger story than that. Listen, you can be the New York Mets, have all the money in the world,
and not win,
and you could spend it poorly, or guys don't deliver, or maybe you don't have the proper farm system, or whatever the case is, right? You can have plenty of reasons. Okay, well, what would happen to the Mets if they had the same equal amount of money as everybody else? They'd probably
be better. Because they wouldn't have the outlandish deal that actually puts them in an unfavorable situation.
You might be right about that. No, there could be some positives to that.
That would be my argument against San Diego. Again, the issue with San Diego is right now in the current structure that, I mean, you can look at it both ways. The current structure, unfortunately, San Diego is chasing something that they don't necessarily even need to chase. Again, I could make the case that 6 or 7 of these contracts haven't benefited them in terms of wins and losses on. Maybe they have benefited them, but will it benefit them in 2026, 27, 28 and beyond? I'm just saying this, that I don't need a hard cap. I really don't. I don't need to keep every single team at a certain threshold to then allow this quote unquote equal playing field. I don't know if you'll ever have an equal playing field.
I don't know. I don't know if you'll then I think the other structures, the other leagues, the way they're structured, then I think, I mean, the only example I could give, again, I would say it. I don't think you would like the NBA as much if they had a similar model to Major League Baseball. I think you could still be a capitalist. I think you could still be everything that you're describing and talking about. But in sports, there's something about sports. If you've ever played pickup basketball, do you want to go up and it's like, well, why does that team have 5 players and we have 3?
I know, but I love college athletics, and there's nothing that's more extreme right now than college athletics.
Yeah, but that's I wouldn't look at college athletics and say that's a positive thing.
I agree, but one more point: the NBA disparity in terms of overall records is greater than Major League Baseball. As in the teams that go 66 and 16, that winning percentage, compared to the teams that go 14 and 68, that winning percentage is nowhere close to the winning percentages you see in baseball.
Here's what I know in basketball. Here's what I know in the NBA. I know that when a season starts, you can kind of have a rough idea. Okay, this team's on the up and up. This squad's going to have a better shot of winning because of A, B, C, and D. Right. This squad's going to have this. Man, this signing that this squad made will kill that franchise. This signing that this guy got was one of the best contracts. Like, there seems to be more of a game of chess in the game of the NBA.
Bro, we could have talked 8 months ago and everyone would have said OKC is going to win the finals. You know what I mean? Like, yes, but also we could have talked 8 months ago and everyone would have told us OKC is going to win the NBA finals. You know what I mean?
Isn't everyone following that model? You're going to still have franchises that dominate.
Exactly.
They're still going to have, but are the Thunder dominant? Are they dominating because they just went out there and said we're the big bad Oklahoma City Thunder and we have a $500 million payroll?
No,
that's all. But that's the only point. Again, give credit where credit's due. If the Thunder found a way to be the franchise they are today, and they did it under the same system as everybody else, then don't you just kind of stand back and say, all right, let me just get this straight. The best president of basketball operations, he's sitting in Oklahoma City. Arguably one of the best ownership. Like, you can just give credit and say, well, the Thunder have been able to do this because of all the different personnel, front office people that they got, drafts that they made, scouting, analytics. Like, you can give them credit for what they did, and you don't have to say, well, they did it because, they just got the largest pocketbook.
True, although I don't always say that in baseball. People say that, but I don't think it end-all, be-all is the largest pocketbook in baseball.
If you're just talking, if it just comes down to did you win a World Series or not, it doesn't come down to just pocketbook. But if the conversation is what teams have the best chance to win, pocketbook has a lot to do with it. It has
a lot to do with it, but there is Tampa Bay, there is Milwaukee. More on this coming up. We're going to hear from Adam Silver as well on the state of NBA officiating. You'll hear from the commissioner on the other side. Schaefer and Slee with San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app.
Been a conversation. I would only say that there's a difference between selling a call, exaggeration, and a true flop, which is where you're actually fooling the referees. I think sometimes, even as I sit in the stands at games, players may be falling down, players may be reacting to a call, but then to me, if they're not fooling the referees, it's like, okay, that's like the players are
The sport is sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone. And Padres have off today. They're traveling to Washington to get ready for their weekend series against the Nationals. First pitch tomorrow will be at 3:45. Major League Baseball owners proposed a hard salary cap to the players as part of the next CBA today. It's their first firm cap proposal since 1994. They have Game 6 of Thunder and Spurs in the Western Conference Finals in the NBA tonight. They're going to tip off a little after 5:30. Starting Stronger starts at AutoZone, where they've got battery solutions in the form of free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes them America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
All right, Schaefer and Sliwa here from Novo Brazil Otay Ranch, broadcasting live until 6 p.m. We should make you aware that J.D. Wicker will join us coming up at 5:30, San Diego State's athletic director. TV schedule out for football games. We'll talk to J.D. Wicker about that. First year in the Pac-12 for the Aztecs. Mark Rogers covers the Thunder for the Sports Animal in Oklahoma City. He'll join us at 5 p.m. And Dan Laing, who I used to work at minor league baseball with, he's with MLB Network Radio on Sirius XM. He's based in D.C. He'll get us ready for Padres and Nationals coming up at 4:15. As we get talkbacks, Brent, let us know if there's a talkback we should play, because we're going to announce a winner of a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair. We're asking people if they want a cap. I recognize,
Brent, you should have seen what happened during the break, brother.
What happened in the break?
John swung at me.
I tried to take Alan out.
John straight up swung at me.
I recognize that the unpopular opinion, I think, if you're outside of LA, New York, some of these bigger markets, maybe Boston or Philadelphia.
Okay, but even if you're in LA and New York, I think it's such a common sense thing.
No way.
It's such a common sense thing. Like, again, if I could sit here with somebody and just have a regular conversation, I just ask the question.
Yeah.
Do you think this is fair the way it's set up? Is somebody now they could make an argument how they don't care. They can make an argument that because it helps their team, that's all they care about. They can make an argument that their odds of winning a World Series is much better under this system, but nobody can look me in the eyes and tell me that the way the system is built today is equal for 30 teams.
Yeah, no, it's not, but nobody could also tell us a zillion things in our lives are equal for anyone. You know, like, I don't know if the grand goal of Major League Baseball when Abner Doubleday created the game was like, make sure everyone's got an equal shot. I mean, there's going to be inherent differences.
That's going to be there either way.
Variety of reasons.
That's going to be there either way.
Beyond front offices. There's going to be.
It could be market size. It could be revenue. It could be one city cares more and they put more pressure on their franchise than another city that doesn't care. There's always going to be advantages and disadvantages. I just don't want them so blatantly in front of us.
I don't think they're as blatant as. I don't think they're that blatant. I really don't, because I go back to what happens on field. And I only have to look back to 2024's postseason when the Padres didn't lose the series to the Dodgers because of money. They didn't lose because of payroll.
Shohei got how much money that year? Yamamoto got how much money that year?
That had no impact on that series.
How does that have no impact on the series?
Because I watched the series and they led 2-1.
They spent $1.2 billion that offseason. You're going to tell me that had no impact on the series?
It had no impact once we got into the series.
They signed Tyler Glasnow, Blake Snell, all these other players. That has no impact on the series?
The Padres off the hook.
Is it letting let me flip it for a quick second. If that didn't matter, what if a couple of those players were on the San Diego Padres? How would you feel about that?
If a couple of the Dodgers were on the Padres?
If a couple of those players that are on the Dodgers are on the San Diego Padres, how would you feel about that? If that same, let's flip this for a quick second. Yeah. Let's just say today.
Yeah.
Let's just say
Tyler Glasnow, Blake Snell are on the Padres.
Unbelievably that the Padres have this unbelievable payroll and they're deferring all this money.
Sure.
And you know what, the TV money coming in for the San Diego Padres is unbelievable and everything else. You think I could sit here and tell you and look at you in the eyes that that's a fair system for 30 Major League Baseball teams?
How would Padres fans feel about that?
Exactly like I told you earlier, if a Dodger fan sitting right here, a Dodger fan is going to say, listen, this current system helps my team. All I care about is trying to win a World Series, but nobody's going to tell you that the system is properly structured.
It's not about a properly structured system for me. Like, fans don't go to a parade and like, hey, we won a World Series in an improperly structured system. I think the stuff that happens off field is hard to then automatically correlate to on field. There are examples of correlation.
You just said that the roster in 2025 or 2024 that did not have an impact. Did you see what that offseason was?
The series, the way it played out, going 26 consecutive innings without scoring, dealing with an injury to Joe Musgrove, obviously, where he couldn't pitch
Which
in Game 4.
injuries happens to everybody.
Game 3. But I'm saying that the Padres didn't lose the series because of the inequities in the sport. And I think most people would agree with that. They lost the series because they were outplayed for 2 games.
So if we took a step back,
same thing with Toronto last year.
But if we took a step back, this is the problem that I have in this conversation. Everybody just wants to look at, did you win a World Series or not? You know what I would love to have for the San Diego Padres? I would love to have 8 to 10 different ways to win. I would love to have 8 to 10 different ways to win. We don't have 10 different ways to win. You know what? Actually, what's happening with the Padres is we're already looking at these dudes that they signed. Some of them are 27 years old. Some of them are going to be approaching their mid-30s. We're already looking at these guys, and we're saying to ourselves, okay, this player's got to – if Manny Machado's not batting .250 and hitting 30 home runs or 25 home runs, if Fernando Tatis Jr. is not hitting 25 home runs and has got close to 100 RBIs, if Nick Pivetta doesn't come back, like everything's got to be perfect for these guys.
But aren't we only – when you boil this down, isn't this really just a conversation about the LA Dodgers? I know that we're like, no, it's not about the Dodgers. It's about the structure, but it's about the LA Dodgers because all these other teams have the same advantage. All the other big market spenders that can do the same thing as the Dodgers aren't winning like the Dodgers.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's a conversation about the Dodgers. It's not a conversation about baseball. It's not a conversation about the Philadelphia Phillies. I mean, the Phillies are a big market. They've won 2 World Series in franchise history. Boston's a big market. Oh, they went 86 years without winning. Mm-hmm. You know, so I don't think Boston tried. Boston spent they did everything in their power to win, and they did.
Dodgers is why NBA or MLB owners right now are saying this is our window, this is our opportunity. It's because of the Dodgers. Yeah, you're right about that. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, you're saying this is our window to get it in, and that's honestly like
the salary cap and everything else. I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
and we happen to be 2 hours south of the Los Angeles Dodgers, and we happen to be in a division where the division has basically already been determined for the last 15 years. And again, I go back to this. They are run very, very well. Like, let's not pretend how they've been run. But what's happened, what I think has made this such a different conversation over the last 4 or 5 years
is they've won World Series.
No. The moment they got Shohei, it became FU money. It's like, no. We're not now going to say, well, let's slowly bring up this guy and you know what? We're not. Tyler Glasnow has a little bit of an injury history, so let's not go grab that kind of player. It's like the moment they got Shohei, it was, and I'm sure this was a conversation Shohei was having with them. If I come sign with your squad, there is no, we're going to slow down a little bit here.
Right, we'll do everything in our power to win.
We'll do everything in our power.
I mean, they hadn't won a World Series, obviously, or a legitimate one since 1988. Listen, I understand the conversation. It's the most topical conversation in baseball. You'll hear about it for the next 9 months. But if people think that a salary cap is just going to be in the sport because it makes the sport equal, I have another thing
don't
coming
care. I don't care why it's in it. Yeah, I genuinely don't care like why a salary cap is there. I'm not going to a baseball game or buying season tickets because I know there's a salary cap. Again, I'm just asking for if we're going to go play pickup basketball, let's play 5-on-5. Let's play 5-on-5. That's all I'm saying. Let's go into a legitimate competition. So that's all.
So we're saying that entering the year, it's not a legitimate competition in Major League Baseball.
How is it a legitimate competition?
So then why do we do what we do? Why do we watch what we watch? Why do you fan the way you fan?
Because anything can happen. Because anything can happen, and we know that. Because nothing is guaranteed, we know that. But
at the end, if the wrong team wins, it's not legitimate. I
keep going back to the result. I'm not going back to the result. I'm not. To me, if they lost both of these if they still hadn't won a World Series other than just 2020, and we continued to sit here and say the conversation about the Dodgers was more about, you know what, this squad is actually one of the more disappointing franchises in all of sports history because they've won 14 or 15 NL West because they're always in the mix and they can't get it done. The conversation is just going to shift, but the expectations of them to win it is still going to be there.
Yeah, I don't look at it the same way. If the Padres won a World Series 2 years ago, which they very much could have, they were favored at one point to do it.
They choked.
I wouldn't say that they didn't. It wasn't legitimate the way they went about. Like I wouldn't be like they overcame all odds to do it. I would just say they won the World Series as other teams have done previously and will continue to do.
Why? Toronto wins Game 7 last year. That is you took down the Goliath. That is a conversation.
Not really. I mean, they spent $200-something million as well. They were 5th in payroll. It's not. I mean, if the difference in payroll between the Blue Jays and the Padres is $40 million, and players make $60 million a year, we're talking about a player difference between the clubs.
You're not. Are you putting into the fact what the deferrals are? Are you putting into the fact
I mean,
all
I
these
haven't
other
done the deep dive, but there's only really one team that has gone to that length.
I don't disagree with you.
Although
I don't disagree with that.
The Mets haven't won. We can continue the conversation.
We're going to give ourselves a migraine.
Or we can hear from Adam Silver. We'll do that on the other side. Adam
we
Silver
can also
on the
have
state
just a
of
nice
officiating.
Kombucha from Nova.
We could do that as well. We should probably be drinking those with alcohol in them right now, to be honest with you. We're at Novo, Brazil, here in Otay Ranch. We'll hear from Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA. Coming up next, Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, Schaefer and Sliwa, Otay Ranch, Novo, Brazil, here until 6 p.m. Swing by. Say hello. We've got an Aztec Coaches Caravan event coming up tonight at 6 p.m. We are giving away, by the way, a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair. If you want to be eligible to win those tickets, you need to open up the iHeartRadio app, search for San Diego Sports 760, click the talkback mic, and tell us if you're in favor or not of a salary cap in baseball. Are you in favor of a salary cap in baseball, Alan?
I'm not sure yet.
All right, let's switch gears for a moment to hear from Adam Silver, because the NBA postseason is well underway. We're in the Western Conference Finals. All anyone wants to talk about, though, is not how the Thunder could be on the verge of back-to-back championships or how great this series is between the Spurs and the Thunder. It's about officiating, it's about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and it's about flopping. Is it not?
I was listening today, NBA Sirius XM, so they got a show on there. I'm not kidding when I tell you this. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm a big NBA fan, so I'm out driving around. I'm listening to their coverage of Game 6.
Okay.
Brother, when I tell you it was 45 straight minutes of basically, is Shai ruining the game? Are you going to remember the Thunder because of this? Is this something that the referees, is it on this, is that? I'm like, damn, that's what we're walking away from this great series, 3-2. That's all anybody wants to talk about. Do they just want to talk about that portion? If it wasn't getting as much legs, I don't even know how much I would even know about it. Like me just watching the game, I don't think I watch the game and I say to myself, here we go again. I don't think I not to say it doesn't have, not to say that Shai's not trying to draw fouls, but I'm not sure what angle people are taking. Are they trying to say, hey, the Thunder wouldn't win a championship if they didn't play like this? Are they trying to say Shai shouldn't be a 2-time MVP because he plays like this?
Yeah, but see that
Those
part of it is ludicrous.
Extreme to me.
It's so ludicrous because there's any team in the NBA, there's guys that draw more fouls than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. There's other players that bait in the NBA. If it was as simple as just playing officials and foul baiting and flopping, wouldn't there be other really great teams too? It wouldn't be hard to copy that model. There's something that separates the Thunder from the other teams. And by the way, it's not just Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. It's their team. It's their bench. He goes to the bench. They outscore opponents. They had an 87-point performance from their bench in this series in a game. Yeah. The most in NBA history, I think, in a playoff game.
Caruso's been a stud. Jared McCain. Who the hell is Jared McCain?
He's been amazing.
This
pickup.
guy gets traded from Philadelphia, I think, for a second rounder or something along those lines. He comes. He's obviously had great impact. Chad Holmgren's been a stud. Not every game, but they got all these different players that are doing something, and all people want to remember is some foul baiting. And listen, I'm not here to tell you. Again, I go back to it. I'm watching every minute of that Laker Thunder series. Remember that moment you mentioned it, right? Where it's Austin Reeves and they're all huddling around the referee. I'm like, they just lost by 18. So what would have happened if you had a couple calls go your way? You lose by 12?
Right.
You lose by 9?
Everyone always complains about officiating in basketball. I mean, obviously,
okay,
it's very subjective.
But here's the issue I have, and I know we got this Adam Silver clip, and I want to play it. But here's the issue I do have with the NBA in regards to this topic. People keep pointing the finger at Shai. I would point the finger at, well, who's calling the foul?
Right.
If you're the NBA and you want to, let's just say this is what he's known for and he's ruining the game. All right, if this is the conversation that everybody's having, let's look into it. If you feel like the referees are getting fooled or they're making calls that they shouldn't be making, then address it. Okay, there's plenty of ways they can address it. They could tell the referees before games, guys, stop calling this. You guys are getting tricked every single time. And if it happens again, there is a review policy where if somebody flops, it can give a technical to a player. There is a way that they can address it. They're not addressing it. Let's play that Adam Silver clip, because this thing to me, his response when everybody's talking about is the Thunder and the fouls and the foul baiting and all that stuff. Listen to his response to it.
I would only say that there's a difference between selling a call, exaggeration, and a true flop, which is where you're actually fooling the referees. I think sometimes, even as I sit in the stands at games, players may be falling down, players may be reacting to a call, but then to me, if they're not fooling the referees, it's like, okay, that's like the players are taught to sell calls these days. I mean, can officiating get bad? Can officiating get better? Of course. We're always working on that. Can officials get fooled occasionally? we're always looking at as well. But the officiating is incredible.
The officiating is incredible. Like, he's pretending like this is not. I mean, everyone's talking about your sport. They're not talking about, unfortunately, how great the series has been, Wemby versus Shea. They are talking about officiating, flopping, and fouling. And Adam Silver's response to all of it is the officiating has been incredible.
Yeah, no, the officiating isn't incredible, but I do think some of this narrative is overblown. Like, I think there's a lot of people not watching these games, and then they see clips on social media, and they're like, Shea's flopping, and that's why they're winning. Like, I'm watching the games. Go show me all the examples of where Shea is getting away with, he's getting away with something that other players are not getting away with. Show me why Oklahoma City won Game 5 at home because he got to the free throw line. That's not at all why they won. He went 7 of 19 from the floor. He did get to the free throw line
a lot. 17 free throw attempts.
He was like, show me all the examples of like, oh, he shouldn't have gone to the line there. Oh, he shouldn't have gone the line there.
Can I tell you something? Yeah, there is a problem with that because somebody will show you.
Yeah,
like there will be. I go back to it. Is it Shea Gilgeous-Alexander's fault that he's drawing fouls? It's not. Are the Oklahoma City Thunder about to get to the NBA Finals that they win tonight because he draws fouls? They're not. Should SGA not be considered the second or the best player in the world and win multiple MVPs because he draws fouls? I've said this before and I'll say it again. I'm not trying to. This isn't a direct shot at Luka or something like that, brother. I watch that guy play every single game. He's drawing fouls. Austin Reeves will go to the basket. He's not trying to make a bucket. He's trying to get to the free throw line. So I go back to the point that you made in the beginning as well. That's not an uncommon trait in the NBA. Now, it's not a trait I like. I don't want to watch that. But let's not pretend that that's not something that a lot of players do in the NBA.
Exactly. The difference between Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and the other players that do in the NBA is Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is still playing. And the other players in the NBA aren't. Their seasons are over. And you don't stumble into an MVP award because you flop and you get calls. Like that. That's not how you win the MVP. Like, he won an MVP over Victor Wembanyama. So that was voted on. He didn't vote on himself. I mean, he faked the voters into winning 2 MVPs because he gets the foul line a lot. I don't see that as like a credible narrative because voters could do what they want with those votes if it's not. So, like, if they deem it to really be illegitimate, I don't think you'd have 2 MVPs.
I think what you said earlier is probably the best point about it's blown out of proportion. Our conversation about the Oklahoma City Thunder and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander should not lead and end with, well, it's because of all the fouls. It shouldn't. Like, it really should be how the amount of depth that they have. I mean, they're doing all this without Jalen Williams and AJ Mitchell. Come on,
I haven't even played.
And that's the conversation. I don't think I've seen one person talk about the NBA over the last week and keep highlighting, guys, they're doing all this without their second best player, Jalen Williams.
I know. It's incredible. So. All right. On the other side, we'll get to the wrap at 4:15. Dan Laing from MLB Network Radio will join the show. We'll get his thoughts on this upcoming Padres and Nationals series on this Padres off day. 5 p.m. Mark Rogers, speaking of Shea, will join us from the Sports Animal in Oklahoma City coming up at 5 p.m. J.D. Wicker at 5:30 here at Novo Brazil, Otay Ranch until 6 p.m. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by the Hartford Auto Insurance. Padres are off today. They're traveling to Washington to start a weekend series tomorrow night against the Nationals. First pitch will be at 3:45, excuse me. Major League Baseball owners proposed a hard salary cap to the players today as part of the next CBA. This is their first firm cap proposal since 1994. We got Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals in the NBA tonight when the Thunder take on the Spurs. They will tip that off a little after 5:30.
Wait until you hear this. You could save hundreds by switching to AARP Auto Insurance from The Hartford. Visit trusthartford.com. The Hartford, your protection is our passion. The Hartford Insurance Group, Inc. pays royalty fees to AARP for the use of its intellectual property. AARP and its affiliates are not insurers. Savings vary.
It's Schaefer and Sliwa. Sean Schaefer. San Diego's own Alan Sliwa. Your Schaefer and Sliwa.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Hour 2, Schaefer and Sliwa. Alan is still talking to me about the salary cap.
Every chance I get.
All right, here
my last one was one of my better ones.
No, I want to actually make that. I want you to make that case on air because I'm going to rebuke it easily.
Yeah.
Dan Laing, MLB Network Radio, will join us in 15 minutes at 4:15. Mark Rogers, the sports animal in Oklahoma City, will join us at 5. And J.D. Wicker, San Diego State's athletic director, will join us at 5:30. Brent, we do need to announce a winner of a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair. I don't know if you want to do that right now or at the end of the segment, but we do need to do that at some point in the next handful of minutes. So let us know when we have a winner of the 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair. Make the point you were just making to me.
I'm good.
No, you were. Make the point you were making. You were saying that in the NBA, you're incentivized to basically, you have the advantage of keeping your homegrown players.
No,
you can offer them the max.
That's their goal. Their goal in the NBA is they want you to be able to, when you draft a superstar, they want that player to stay there. And there is some incentives, right?
Sure.
You can give them 5
More
years,
money.
while other teams can give them 4. But it's the chances of that player. And listen, if you play 15 years in the league, not everybody was Kobe and stayed with one team. Not everybody was Dirk and stayed with one team. But I remember you and I were talking about Padres were playing the Pirates. It's probably a month ago now.
And we're like, are they going to move Skeens?
Yeah, and we're already having the conversation with Skeens.
Yep.
That's the other part, too. It's like, guys, even if you do draft well, and even if you are developing your own players, there's a part of it, it's like, well, I mean, Juan Soto is going to leave the Nationals. There's a part of it's like, well, Skeens is going to leave the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah, but let me.
And now you got a squad coming in that's going to go in and say, cool, that's awesome. You drafted that player and you developed them. We'll pay $300 million and they'll come to our team.
The Nationals, who were considering a sale at the time, had just won a World Series. It was very unconventional. They did not move Juan Soto because of money. They moved Juan Soto because he said he wouldn't sign for the money. He was offered $500 million by the Nationals. That's a whole different conversation. Eli Manning didn't come to San Diego. There's no salary, salary cap in football. Sometimes it gets beyond dollars and cents. So that the Juan Soto thing. I mean, they're a resourced organization.
The point that I was making was in the NBA, there are incentives, and it is the hope of the NBA,
no doubt,
that these stars stay with the team that drafted.
I agree,
them.
and they can't force it. I understand. There'll be player movement, and I'm not opposed to player movement, and I don't take away from your point. I agree with that. But the one other point I would make about Major League Baseball and this, hey, people are talking about Paul Skeens in his second year in the major leagues, whether he's going to move or not. In Major League Baseball, you control your players for 6 years, longer than the NBA, longer than the NFL, regardless of round. You draft Paul Skeens, you want to keep him in the major leagues for 6 years, it's your right. It's your decision.
But you
it's
have
your choice.
You got to start thinking 3-4 years in, okay, what am I going to do with this player? Because
I won't get the right return for him if he walks.
We can't afford to give him X amount of dollars.
Well, and that is, that is a conversation as well. But I'm just saying right now, you could get Paul Skeens from age 22 to age 28. Never a free agent. There's only arbitration.
Sure.
He's only going to make so much. By the way, you're probably getting his best years. Letting him walk, let me be honest with you. It's probably smart because the math suggests a pitcher after 6 years of starting in the major leagues is not going to be that same pitcher years 7 through 12. Mm-hmm. And this gets teams in the problems that they get in anyway. When teams sign, again,
I just go back to it. I want that team that said, we've had this player now for 6 years. We want to be able to offer the same amount of money that another squad can offer, and it actually financially makes sense.
That's
the point.
I like that idea a lot.
Yeah.
I do like that idea a lot. I still wonder if all the clubs would take advantage of it.
And I think there's going to be clubs, which maybe this one goes back to your, hey, some of these bottom feeders need to work their way up. I think maybe that's the conversation, the point that you were trying to make a little bit earlier in regards to that. You're right. I think there are some teams out there. There's certain homes in the neighborhood where some guy is trying to keep his home looking perfect, and then his neighbor is like, yeah, I cut the grass once every 6 months.
Right, 100%. And by the way, that's in all sports. Even with it goes beyond
even
the
with salary cap.
Yeah, again,
Sure.
I mean, were the San Diego Clippers run well, or the LA Clippers under Donald Sterling? Of course not.
No, they weren't.
Were the San Diego Chargers run well under Dean Smith? Of course not.
And the Clippers is a good example, and they were benefiting from teams who did want to spend, which was Dr. Jerry Buss was a good example there.
All right, at 4:15, Dan Laing is going to join the show. But right now, Brent, let's get to this.
It's time for the wrap. Presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
What do you think of the NBA's new anti-tanking rules?
All right, new anti-tanking rules. A lot of people, a lot of storylines around the NBA these last couple of years where teams basically halfway through the season, they're like, all right, we're out. It's more important for us to lose some of these games. I don't know how it's going to work. I think it's going to really shake up stuff. I think there's going to be teams that barely miss the playoffs, and they're going to end up with a number one pick. And people are going to probably say, why did a team that had the, 8th best record in the Western Conference, how did they just end up with a number one pick? But I'll take my chances with this. I think that, obviously a clear issue that the NBA had, teams were literally shutting down players.
Right.
What's the message you were telling to your fans and your fan base and the market that you're in? I'll take my chances with the new anti-tanking rule. Maybe I haven't been the biggest fan of Adam Silver these last couple of years, but the one thing I will give the NBA, they're trying new stuff.
Yeah.
Some of them doesn't work, but you got to try new things to try to find the right solution.
I like it a lot. I really do. You're disincentivizing teams being the worst in the NBA, and they used to race to the bottom. And now all of a sudden, if you have one of the worst 3 records, you don't have the same percentage of getting the top pick that a team that has the 5th worst record, for example, in the NBA. I think it will, to a large extent, eliminate tanking. I really do. Now, will teams find mechanisms and ways to take advantage of this system? I'm sure they will, but are you going to try to go 10-72 if there's no real advantage to do that? I don't think that teams will.
So just a quick breakdown. Lottery expands from 14 to 16 teams.
Yep.
Bottom 3 teams receive reduced odds for the number 1 pick. What was the other one? No team can win the number 1 pick in consecutive years. So there's a handful of things that they're doing.
Yep.
And again, is it going to be perfect? I don't think anybody knows, but I'm willing to take my chances.
It'll be better.
Yeah.
Next question.
Do you regret the Juan Soto trade?
So the Padres
Nationals
trading for Juan Soto, not trading him away.
Yeah.
That initial trade between the Nats and the Padres.
This is why this is a conversation. And by the way, I'm sure we're going to spend a lot of time on this tomorrow when they get ready at their 3-game set, even later today. But it's a tough one, brother. It's a tough one. I'm watching C.J. Abrams and Wood with the Nationals. Like one of those 2 guys were supposed to work for them. Not both of them being absolute studs. I'm going to say no. I don't regret it, but part of me doesn't believe myself.
Yeah, you kind of regret it, even though you're saying
I kind of regret it in the sense that you knew Juan Soto wasn't going to stay. You knew he wasn't going to be here long term. Actually, you weren't 100% sure. I mean, depending on obviously what would have happened if Peter Seidler was around. That's a tough one. I think I'll just lean towards. I went to that first game. Juan Soto was here at Petco.
Me too. Electric.
The atmosphere. I mean, you still have Michael King and Randy Vasquez because of the Juan Soto trade. So those are 2 of your best pitchers right now. I'm going to lean towards no.
Yeah, I don't regret it at all. I think that was one of the great eras in the history of the Padres organization. The excitement around the franchise, the day they traded for Juan Soto, was at a complete all-time high or fever pitch, whatever you want to say. They should have. I'll go further. I'll go back to this 2022 conversation.
Yeah.
Fernando Tatis Jr. put them in the most unfavorable spot ever.
Jesus.
They traded for Juan Soto. Nobody knew that he would later be suspended.
Freaking in my car driving around with that news.
Think about that. You could have won in 2022, but you didn't have Tatis. You had him again in 2023, Soto, and they underperformed. But yeah, I'm making that trade 100 out of 100.
100 out of 100.
Yeah, because I loved that era of Padres baseball. Juan Soto at the time, and still probably now, is considered a top 3 hitter in the sport. You had a top 3 hitter in the sport.
The only way you can say I loved that trade.
I love that trade.
Is if they got to a World Series. Let's say
no,
they
but
didn't
at
even
the
win
time
one.
of the trade.
Yeah, but are we asking that? Because if you're saying the time of the trade, it's so easy to say yes. Right now, I'm watching. Right now, I'm looking at who are some of the best hitters in all of Major League Baseball. Both of those guys are sitting on the Nationals.
Yeah, on the Nats. Yeah,
I don't think we can ever use the word love that trade because you got 2 absolute studs falling out with the Nationals.
I liked the trade, and I at the time I loved the trade. At the time,
I'm with you. At the time, I loved it.
Again,
of course.
yes, with the benefit of hindsight, I wouldn't regret it though. I don't think the Padres are in such a worse spot, for example, than the Nationals.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They
So
got
no,
some
I
studs.
don't regret that trade. Next question.
Would Sacramento be a good market for Major League Baseball expansion?
Sacramento be a good. I hate to do this because I know they only have. I mean, it's the freaking capital of the state of California,
Right.
and they only have one professional team, the Sacramento Kings. I don't know if that's the market that's going to be like this driving force for everybody's going to be like
Sacramento.
Like I think Seattle getting the Sonics back. No one's even really having a conversation.
Right.
I don't care for Vegas getting an NBA team, but I get the allure of why Vegas would be a good market for the NBA. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no on Sacramento getting a Major League Baseball team. I also haven't seen anything crazy with the A's where it's like, oh my God, this environment is unbelievable.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the cities that would come to mind for me would be like Montreal. Again, I remember as a kid, just the idea of having Montreal in the
Might
sport.
be the best sports logo.
It's kind of like bringing the Sonics back. It's like
Yeah.
the Expos were around for a long time. I've always liked the idea of putting a team in Mexico, but then I went to a game in Mexico City and there were 9 home runs. I'm like, okay, that's not really. Can you really do that in Mexico City? Got cities like Nashville.
I was just going to say, is
Yeah,
Nashville? Nashville, I feel
with
like,
the
is in a lot of
NFL.
conversations.
Charlotte. But I mean, I think Sacramento would be fine. But like, do you need Sacramento?
The only positive, if it's Sacramento, you get Padre fans.
Oh,
quick
yeah,
little trip
absolutely,
up there and get
absolutely.
up there. So
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
well,
I don't
they're
think
trying.
it's going to happen.
They're trying to get into the mix.
Yeah. Next question.
Why are the Padres a better road team than home team?
Is there? You think there's something to this? Is there sometimes where you're just better off? There's like less pressure on you when
Sometimes.
you're not here.
Yeah.
You got these sold out stadiums, and you got probably the pressure of Manny Machado looking up there. He's like, I'm batting what?
Right.
You got Fernando Tatis saying to himself every time he's at the plate, I still don't have a home run, and these freaking people are standing up and cheering for me. Maybe there's, I think that sometimes you could be more comfortable playing in an environment that's not at home. It's kind of weird. I've loved going to Padre games. I would say I enjoy being on the road more than I do at home. Like there's something about just, hey, I don't really care. Like all these fans are here aren't there for the Padres. You got like this limited, more intimate experience, maybe a little bit more bonding.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, typically in baseball, like all professional sports teams are better at home than the road, but it doesn't always work that way. And there is something about just like your group, like your traveling party, just for whatever reason being better in that situation than your home, family, kids, dynamic, everything that plays into it. I do agree that almost sometimes the crowd can work against you because they're all sitting on their, you're like sitting on your hands waiting for them to do anything.
But
all night long.
I'll kill my own point on this. I think they beat the Cubs if they play those 3 games at home.
Yeah, last year in the postseason.
I think the difference of that wild card
Was
series
home road.
was because they were in Chicago.
True, but maybe it was. Dan Laing, MLB Network Radio, getting us ready for Padres and Nationals. Game 1 of that series is tomorrow. His thoughts on what's been proposed by the players and the owners when it comes to the next CBA and baseball as well. Dan Laing joins us next on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, and live on the iHeartRadio app. Hey guys, it is Schaefer again for the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place, and we've been telling you for a while now about the hotel and spa at Hamul, where you can experience elevated luxury with their refined hotel stay and rooftop relaxation, indulgent spa treatments, and all the excitement of Hamul Casino Resort seamlessly brought together in one unforgettable destination. And now you can take your stay to the next level. They've got exclusive hotel packages crafted for the ultimate escape. You'll love their dining options as well, including Hamul 23 with their lobster buffet every day. Enjoy all-you-can-eat lobster every day, plus dozens of other delicious stations. You can start your morning with their new signature breakfast buffet. That's Monday through Friday, 8 to 10:30 a.m., featuring made-to-order omelets, fresh fruit, and sweet and savory favorites. And also make sure to swing by Tony Gwynn's with their endless dining experience Wednesday through Sunday at Tony Gwynn's Sports Pub at the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. All right, Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live from Novo, Brazil, Otay Ranch on this gorgeous Thursday afternoon. San Diego State's athletic director, J.D. Wicker, will swing by at 5:30. We'll get you ready for Game 6 of the NBA Finals tonight at 5 p.m. as well with Mark Rogers. He covers OKC for the Sports Animal. But great to connect right now with a great buddy, longtime friend, Dan Laing, MLB Network Radio, back with us here on San Diego Sports 760. Dan, appreciate you taking time for us. I wanted to go back. Obviously, the Padres and Nationals are playing a 3-game series in D.C. beginning tomorrow. I want to go back in the Wayback Machine with you to the day that Juan Soto trade. And now we fast forward all these years later. Like,
we want to redo it. Would they be interested?
Right. Do they want to redo it? It's a great. No, I guess I would look at it from this perspective. Like, has it really worked out the way the Nationals thought it would or not? Because it's taken a while for this team to turn over, so to speak. Yes, they're getting the good individual play from Abrams and Wood, but they haven't really won on field since that trade.
No, you're right. It has taken time for it to pay off, but you're seeing it. There still are a couple of the pieces, even in the minor leagues, that they're trying to, get set and get on their way. But, you talk about the biggest pieces, Wood and Abrams, that are still with the Nationals. Of course, Mackenzie Gore was traded to the Rangers. He's having a bit of a down year, not an all-star again this season. But you look at Wood, he's the only player in the big leagues right now with, I think, 15 homers and 10 stolen bases. And, third in the bigs with a 967 OPS. He's a very streaky hitter, but he's a fun guy to watch play, and the ball just jumps up his bat. And that has always been the case. But they were able to take a couple holes out of his swing. He's on a hot streak, and so that's good. And C.J. Abrams, they've gotten him to turn things around, refocus, and, his OPS is well over 900. He's second on the Nats in home runs, and a lot of times he's hitting cleanup. And so, he's a guy, too, that they're looking pretty good. That'd be an interesting question to ask A.J. Preller if he could have that back. Would he want that back or not? Obviously the Padres didn't win the World Series when Soto was there, but he brought a lot of positives to the organization, to the team, and that big smile. I mean, geez, if the Padres could have kept Soto, there you go. That would have been the key. If they could have figured out a way to sign Juan instead of letting him go to the Mets.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're going to get a chance, obviously to watch these two studs for the Nationals these next couple of games, and listening to you kind of break down, hey, here's where Woods is in all Major League Baseball. Here's what C.J. Abrams doing. It's a tough one. It's a tough one to swallow, and we are kind of having the conversation. What will happen every year? Every Padres play the Nationals, we'll obviously have this conversation. Let me just stick to those two guys for a quick second. What's their ceiling? Like, they're so young and so talented. What do you think they are over these next couple of years?
I mean, I think that's a huge question because James Wood, last year there was a piece, I think it was on ESPN.com, and they were talking about the next 500 million, 600 million guys, 700 million, and they were going on and on and on. And they pegged James in the $600 to $700 million range, and a guy that would be a perennial 50 home run guy, maybe even 60. He's shown some really good defense this year as well. Doesn't have a ton of personality. Personally, I'd like to see him smile more, have more fun. He does, but not to the camera. He's a quiet dude. So in that regard, I'd like to see him do a little bit more. But man, on the field, I think he's just scratching the surface. They have him leading off a lot right now, and it's working for him, and it's working for the team. As for Abrams, like I said, he's refocused. He had that step out couple of years ago in Chicago, but right. things have gotten back on track for him. He's playing at an all-star caliber level again, and big question is, are they going to trade him? Are they going to hold him? The Nationals right now, they're playing pretty good. I mean, they're making a big deal out of it in D.C. They're a game above 500, and they had a parade down, one of the local radio stations in D.C. had a parade down the street in front of Nats Park because they were over 500 this late in the season for the first time since 2019. And so that's the type of team that they're dealing with. They're dealing with a lot of positives, a lot of energy, a lot of youngsters. I mean, you look at the leadership, to get away from those guys for a second, you look at the leadership that was brought in, and that really kind of set the tone. And Paul Taboni is the president of baseball operations. He's a young dude. He's 36 years old, youngest Bobo of in baseball, and he said he got the buy-in from both Wood and Abrams immediately, and he said that it's shown on the field now to the fans, and he said that's just meant the world. Manager-wise, Blake Butera, youngest manager in the big leagues in a half century. He's 33 years old. So you bring those guys in, and immediately there was kind of some pause and some questions of like, okay, is there going to be buy-in? A couple of the older guys on the roster, what are they going to do? But I'll tell you, they're out there working hard. They're taking extra BP. They're taking ground balls. They're working on defense out there before games, and that's not something you see every team do. So it's kind of neat to see because initially you go toward, are these just a bunch of young guys that sit in front of computers and tablets all the time? And they're not. They're out there playing baseball and trying to get the guys better on the field, as well as looking at the tablets, of course.
No doubt about it. Dan Laing, MLB Network Radio, with us right now. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. I'm curious from your seat, just covering baseball nationally, like how it's shocking here locally that the Padres flat out cannot hit. They've invested like $1 billion in their lineup. Nobody hits. Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis Jr., everyone knows the story. I mean, Jackson Merrill can't hit. Xander Bogaerts cannot hit. Like, how
kill it with infield singles?
But man, they can pitch, and
somehow their infield singles are sometimes beautiful,
and they're somehow 31 and 24. So, like, how are the Padres' offensive issues seen? And then, secondly, how are they doing this?
Well, do you go to the luck component, right? Because I looked at this because I was curious. I was earlier today. I was doing some stuff on MLB Network Radio, and I was looking at the matchup coming up. The Padres are 7 games above 500. Their run differential is -1. The Nationals 1 game above 500. Their run differential is -4. So I don't know. I mean, the Padres, so the Nationals lead baseball in offense, in runs scored. The Nats are number 1. And then you look at the Padres, and only the Red Sox, Royals, and Giants have scored fewer runs than the Padres. And you're right, you mentioned the names. It's amazing. All those guys that you mentioned have OPSs below 700. And, I think it's just the playing on the periphery, and, you have Mason Miller at the back end. You have a narrow lead. Good. He's going to come in. He's going to lock it down, the Reaper. And I think that's what they're going with right now. But you also got to be concerned about the starting rotation. I mean, so many question marks there. But yes, you're right. The first place you go is the offense. It is incredible because of the names they have and the track record these guys have. So then you sit there and you say, okay, trade deadline, people are starting to think about who's going to buy, who's going to sell, all that jazz. And you sit there and go, okay, well, in a way, if you can get Tatis, Machado, Bogarts, Merrill, all those guys back on track, in a sense, you've made four big additions in bats right there. You haven't necessarily traded for anybody, but you get those guys going and look at what you've got. And so I think that's what a lot of people are thinking. And I'm sure that's what the Padres are keeping their fingers crossed with, is that, these guys have got to do something eventually, right? I mean, it can't just all be Gavin Sheets.
True.
Yeah, who would have thought that's what we're saying, that this team's going to ride on the shoulders of Gavin Sheets. And in a weird way, there have definitely been some moments this year that they have. Dan Laing taking some time to join us here, MLB Network Radio on the Schaefer and Sliwa Show. Dan, I got to ask you this question. I mean, obviously a lot of news these last couple of days in regards to Major League Baseball. Reportedly, there is a proposed salary cap model, Major League Baseball, that would come with a $245 million ceiling and $171 million floor. Well, what's just your thoughts on? John and I spent the first hour yelling at each other,
right.
having different opinions on where we are in baseball. What do you feel about the current structure of Major League Baseball? And if you are to change some things, what are some things that are most important to you?
Well, I think you've got to figure out a way to have some sort of a bottom, because you do have some teams that do just hoard the money, give it to the owners, figure out ways to give it to a foundation that is run by a family member, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that as a whole, look, the game is in a good state, right? The attendance is up, TV ratings are up, games are shorter, so therefore the younger kids are more interested because baseball games are lasting an average of 320 like they were even just a few years ago. In all those regards, baseball is fantastic. The business side of things, obviously, is what we're talking about, and that's where there's gonna be a lot of layers to it, because you look at the cash cow for baseball has been cable, has been the regional sports networks, and in San Diego, you saw how that affected the Padres.
Sure.
They did away with the channel. Now they're MLB came in and is producing them. So that's a big question mark, because not every team is as lucky as the Mets and Yankees with the Yes Network and SNY. I think that's a big question mark. I do think, though, they've got to figure out a way to get a floor in there. I'm kind of the ilk of liking a salary cap, but I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, baseball's union is the strongest union that there is. I mean, that's been pretty well documented. And I just hope that both sides don't screw it up here in the next 6 months or so.
All right, we got to figure out how to strong arm the players' union. Too powerful. Hey, quick question on this: just the deferrals. Can you just from your perspective, is that something that you think continues in Major League Baseball, or have there been some loopholes that teams have been able to take advantage of?
Well, sure, there's some loopholes that teams have taken advantage of. I mean, the Bobby Bonilla day, and he gets over $1 million a year, and he hasn't played in decades. I think it started out as a good idea, okay, a few bucks here or there. Now some guys are deferring $20, $50 million. You look at the money that Ohtani's deferring. I mean, that's insane. And not only is it insane for the left to have the instant gratification, but what's going to happen in 20, 30, 40 years down the road when these contracts are coming due and these guys aren't playing and these guys aren't giving you even the marketing component of things? Let's say, God forbid, there's a fallout between like Ohtani and the Dodgers, and they thought, oh, we would have him for life and he'd be a marketing ambassador and all that. Let's say there's some sort of fallout. I think they've got to rein that in some. And yes, I do think it's a loophole. And hey, look, loopholes, guys have figured out ways to take advantage of them. I guess it's kind of like the tax code. If you're lucky enough to have a good accountant, you can figure out the right ways to win the tax code. And it's kind of the same way with baseball. In a sense, it is a tax code, right? Because they have luxury tax, so it's the right way to get around it. And teams with money, with bigger and better accounting departments, are able to figure out those ways of doing it, and it's worked for them.
Dan, appreciate you taking time, man. Hope all is well. We're looking forward to this weekend, a little Padres Nats action in D.C., but thanks for hopping on, my friend.
Sure, anytime. Glad to do it.
All right, great
Thank
stuff.
you, man.
Dan Laing, MLB Network Radio. We react to that on the other side. Mark Rogers in Oklahoma City at 5 p.m. J.D. Wicker at 5:30. Schaefer and Sliwa on San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Napa Auto Parts. Padres are off today. They're on their way to Washington to start their series this weekend with the Nationals. First pitch tomorrow is going to be at 3:45. Major League Baseball owners proposed a hard salary cap to the players as part of the next CBA today. It was their first firm cap proposal since 1994. We've got Western Conference Finals, Game 6 between the Thunder and Spurs tonight in the NBA. They're going to tip off a little bit after 5:30, probably around 5:40-ish. Safety starts underneath. That's why shop owners trust Napa for undercar solutions that stop issues, go further with complete repairs, and grow their business. From brake rotors to struts, Napa has what you need to keep undercar under control.
Make your way down to Novo Brazil, Otay Ranch. We are here until 6 p.m. We're going to get you ready for Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals coming up at 5 p.m. because we've got Mark Rogers on the show. He works for the Sports Animal in Oklahoma City. He'll join us at 5. I wonder what they talk about every day in Oklahoma City. I wonder if they talk about the Thunder. Think they talk Thunder?
I think they probably, honestly, if I'm them in OKC, I'm talking a lot about deferred money in baseball.
Talking Ohtani?
I'm talking
a
a
big
lot
baseball
of.
market?
I'm talking Teoscar Hernandez.
A serious question. Do you think they talk as much? Like, I bet they talk as much Sooners athletics, like Oklahoma, than they do anything else.
Correct.
Agree or disagree?
Oh, 100%.
They must, right?
Now,
the Thunder are monsters.
Yeah, but they are like Oklahoma is. They could be a legit dynasty. Like 5 years from now, we could say, hey, they won
titles.
3, which would make you a dynasty. I mean, you had 3 freaking championships.
Yeah.
But even with all that being said, if you ask probably anybody from Oklahoma, they're like, hey, do you want the Thunder to win or do you want the Sooners to win a national title? I don't think it's close.
Mark Rogers will join us coming up at 5 p.m. J.D. Wicker, San Diego State's athletic director, on the show at 5:30. Again, we're at Novo Brazil here in Mission Valley. We're not putting a bow on this CBA conversation, the owners and the players, but I did want to mention this.
I do appreciate during the break
that you didn't try to kill me.
No, that you just basically said, Al, I think you're right.
No, I didn't say that.
And you said,
but I don't disagree with it. I
points.
just have a different opinion.
Yeah,
I don't think your opinion is wrong.
You see
I just know it is. No, here's the deal. In the proposal from the owners, where you're going to have a cap and a floor.
Yeah.
How many teams do you think have to come down to the cap, and how many teams do you think have to come up to the floor?
Down to the cap. I might know the number of this because if Padres are in the mix, then it's got to be 9 or 10.
Okay, so give me a number. Give me is it 9? Is it 10? Just throw a number out.
We'll go. I'll go 9.
Okay, 9 needs to come down. How many would need to come up?
Is it? I'll go 10. Probably a little more. I'll go 11.
12 need to come up.
Okay,
that's 40% of the sport.
Yeah,
20% of the sport, actually more than that. 25% of the sport needs to come down. 8, including the Padres. Padres would be 8th right now in that calculation. But it proves a little bit of the point I'm trying to make, that it's as much of a conversation about the bottom, but the top gets all the headlines because the top is winning by and large. The top gets the headlines. Everyone wants to talk about spending. Nobody wants to talk about a lack of spending.
Yeah, it's natural, right? Like, I think there's always going to be. Are you talking about? This is not a good example,
right?
But like, are people? It's like the middle class versus somebody making $1 billion. Like, the conversation is not going to be on the middle class. It's going to be on the billionaire.
Right.
But here, let me ask you this question, and I think that, and I don't know the economics to it, but let's say a team is below that threshold that you're talking about. They're under that 170.
Yeah, spending 100.
They're spending
125.
Okay, 125.
Yeah.
Let's say they're even 150. They're not that far away. But let's say they currently don't have a TV deal. Like, they don't have a regional television deal.
Like San Diego.
Let's say they also, let's just say, look, it's just kind of natural. Not every market's created equal.
They're all different.
So revenue-wise, it is different. Are you still like that upset at a franchise that's like, look, we don't have regional. Again, I don't know how all these finances work in baseball, where I can sit here and tell you that, no, that owner is actually making $400 million, but they have just chosen to not spend that much money because they're just pocketing. They're looking at it as a business, the only way they're looking at it. I guarantee you there are teams that want to compete more in Major League Baseball, but have also said to themselves, it doesn't make sense for us to go spend $30 million on a player. That's not going to kind of change our whole scope of things. We might have to actually trade one of our young stars because we're just going to have to work through the farm system. Like, there is a way to win, and Tampa has proven that, and there's been other organizations that have proven that. There's ways to be competitive, and you just get it. Milwaukee has been a great example of doing that. But I also don't think the revenue Milwaukee's bringing in is the same as the New York Yankees. And if you told me that the Milwaukee Brewers and the Yankees have the same exact revenue, this squad's making 500, this squad's making 500, do you not think the Milwaukee Brewers would then say, okay, now the way we do business, we can take a little bit more chances. We can go out there and sign a guy for $30 million a year over the course of 5 years. Don't you think they would also change structurally?
They would, or organizationally, they have a belief that, works for them and has been a proven winner for them.
That definition of winner is very difficult because I think the Brewers have got to a point they can't get back past that point.
Until they can. I mean, I understand the point. Yeah, it's fair. Like, yes, you can't until you do. I always think when it comes to baseball specifically, like Mike Farron would say this at MLB Network Radio as well, is like the disparity between good and bad in baseball over a 7-game series is nothing like it is in basketball.
I agree
or
with that.
Football. If you played
Basketball
7
is so,
football
like,
games between the
predictable.
best and the worst, the best is always winning. You know,
Yeah.
and basketball is more predictable. Where in baseball, it's so dependent on so many factors, including starting pitching.
You're right
you can only
about
throw
that.
someone every 4th game, for example.
You're right about that.
So I don't think
Unless you
it's
have
as
4
easy
aces.
as I don't think it's as easy to say as like a team is capped and how far they can go. Sometimes you get a feel, like we cover the Padres. We watch them up close and personal. I have a feel right now based on how they're playing. You ain't winning a World Series if you're in the postseason. It would take miracle on ice stuff and Gavin Sheets hitting multiple 3-run home runs at the bottom of the 9th inning to get you out of series. But I do think that Milwaukee, if they made the postseason 10 or 15 consecutive years, would break through like the Atlanta Braves did. They were in it 15 straight years. They only won 1 World Series.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, if you're in it 10 or 15 times, you'll probably break through.
But what if I told you that, just again, I'll go back to an example. Give me the best starting pitcher that was in the market this past season. And the Milwaukee Brewers said, we can spend whatever these other teams are. We're going to still run the same model that we're running.
But we're going to bring in the top
But
free
we're
agent
bringing
starter.
in an ace.
Sure.
Is that
it's
not
going to help?
Is that not all of a sudden you're like, okay, now I'm going to look at them probably a little bit different. And that ace could have chosen. He could have went to the big market. He could have went to the small market. But he decided, you know what? I'm going to go to Milwaukee for whatever reason. I like the manager. It's this, it's that, because the money was comparable.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only that would be the point that I make with you, is that if it's comparable, if the money is comparable, let these players they're basically making a decision based off of which franchise they want to play for.
This is going to be fascinating to see how it plays out. It really will.
We're hanging in. I mean,
we're hanging in. You're an owner now, right?
Right now we gotta stay tough here.
I mean,
we gotta stay tough here.
I don't agree with everything on the players' union side. I'm all for a floor, but also again, I think by being all for a floor, you might make it harder for the Padres.
Let me read a couple of
these.
Let me read a couple of these on YouTube. Okay.
Yeah.
Spending big didn't help the Padres win a World Series. It hasn't helped the Mets, Yankees, or Phillies either.
Win a World Series, he's saying?
I think he's saying World Series. And there's a couple on here. Some people, I think there's kind of a handful of people here that disagree with me on this, which I'm going to block them right after. That's it. We can't get different opinions. I'm not trying to sit here and tell you that the Padres are ran perfect. They're not.
Right.
I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that the Padres are the signings, some of these players that they've signed. Of course they're not. Like yesterday we spent so much time because we were reacting after the loss of the Phillies. Yep. How come any of these guys can't hit? They're supposed to be bad 3-4 years from now. They can't be bad right now. They're too early in their contracts. I'm looking at it from, yes, a Padre perspective, but I'm also looking at it as just, again, the state of baseball. If I'm looking at the state of baseball and I'm asking myself, I think you simplified the whole thing. This is probably more just a one-team issue that has kind of like taken everything and said, well, because this one team is doing this, then there's going to be this reaction of how do you try to stop it?
Yeah, and the part from a San Diego perspective, which sucks, is that team is the LA Dodgers in your division 2 hours north. And I
told you we'll go to the AL. I told you we'll switch with the Angels.
It might happen, honestly, one day when they expand to 32 teams. All right, Mark Rogers from the Sports Animal in Oklahoma City will join us at 5 p.m. Let's get to on field and what's played out here with the Padres over the course of that 9-game homestand and look ahead as well. That's next here on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, Mark Rogers from the Sports Animal in Oklahoma City will join us coming up at 5 p.m. We'll get into Game 6 of this Western Conference Finals. You could call it a must-win for San Antonio here tonight. J.D. Wicker, San Diego State's athletic director, at 5:30. We've spent a lot of time today on the off-field baseball saga. That would be the next collective bargaining agreement between the players and the owners. Meanwhile, it's a Padres off day, so it kind of quiets for a moment. But let's not forget where we last left off in this story, which is the Padres going 3-6 in a 9-game homestand, scoring 18 runs in those 9 games. It might have been 19, but whatever.
Yeah,
18 or 19 runs. And the way they played against the Phillies specifically, getting swept, getting shut out twice, including yesterday while facing Christopher Sanchez. The offense, there are no answers. We were asking a million of them yesterday. Will they get right on the road? We're going to find out this weekend in D.C., but we're kind of at one of the low points of the season right now for the Padres, considering how they played on the homestand.
Yeah, I mean, the disappointing part is their pitching has been good.
Yep.
Their pitching is doing everything they can to keep them in it. We heard some rumors about, hey, maybe A.J. Preller will go after some more bullpen guys and bullpen depth. It probably just gives you the indication. It's like, yeah, if we're going to win games, we're going to win games 3-2. If I could try to find a positive here, and I hate to say this because we've been saying it for a month, at some point, if this offense just becomes average, nobody's asking them to be this just unbelievable team that goes out there and is putting up 6 runs a night. They don't need that. All they need is just, can you get 3-4 runs? Can you just give some hope so that your pitching, which your staff, I think the starters have done their job. We didn't even get a chance at all yesterday to talk about Walker Buehler. Walker Buehler has continued to play, obviously some pretty good ball for the Padres. There was a little bit of news on Joe Musgrove. Who knows what happens down the road with some of these guys, but Michael King, I like him in big situations. I know that he's had a couple okay starts, but I like what Randy Vasquez brings to the table. They don't need these guys to be – nobody needed Machado moving forward to bat 280 and have 30 home runs, even though you're paying him for that.
Right.
You don't need Tatis at this point, right? Like we lowered our expectations all the way down yesterday. We're like, we'll take 12.
Yeah.
They just need them to be decent, effective, timely, clutch. Like, you just can't be as bad as they are. If that happens – they're going to be in the middle of this thing. Now, does that make them a favorite? No, but they'll be in the middle of it. And that's what we were asking for before the season started.
It's funny because yesterday we spent some time talking about, like, have we really lowered these expectations on Tatis where we consider, what he's done recently at the plate, where he's getting on base at a better clip to be successful. But that's kind of what we're doing now for the entire team. Like, we have completely written off the idea of their offense being good. I don't think there's anyone out there that's like, I need the offense to be good. Everyone's now saying, I need the offense to be okay, even below average, but not putrid or horrible. That's where we are.
Not 30th and 26th.
It's funny, like, it is a bit of a disservice when you consider the true investment, the true cost of the added all up, man. Machado and Tatis and Bogarts and Merrill and Cronenworth. You're $1 billion in right there. And you are 29th in on-base plus slugging in the sport. 29th, and nobody is sitting here with a straight face that believes they could be 9th. That could you finish 19th? Like, you're kind of praying, like, hey, if we finish 19th, we got a shot. But that's kind of where we are in the story, which is crazy. The best case is bad.
Are we saying? I think the best case is average.
Yeah, the best case is average. The best case is average.
Are you saying then? Should we be yesterday we ripped. We went into them.
Yeah, Machado for me, Tatis for you. Yep.
And I don't know if, like, you're saying that we're lowering our expectations and that shouldn't be okay.
No, I'm not necessarily saying it.
I don't disagree if that's what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm saying that is just what has happened.
Yeah.
I think it's been so bad. Yep. Then when things go really bad, you don't ask for a 180, you ask for like a 90. Like, can you just get out of this badness and be like, okay?
Yeah, but I think this is what would happen. I think when it's like you and I have an 8 for a full day.
Yes.
And I'm like, listen, I'll take an apple. I don't need anything else. Just give me something. Just give me a glass of water. It's like you're
not asking for the filet mignon.
We're starving here.
Yep.
Give us anything, and we're okay with
we're
it.
Cool with it.
But the moment you start getting, it's like I got the apple.
Now I want.
Somebody gave me a sandwich.
I want more.
It's like, all right, and I think that's whether that's a good example or not. I think the moment you start getting any production from these guys, the more then the conversation becomes, Machado, not only do I need you, but I need you against the Dodgers in this situation at this point. You should have came through right there.
Yep.
Right now we're asking for anything.
Yep.
For Fernando Tatis, if he hit I swear on my life, if he hit a home run tomorrow and we're down 5-0, I will sleep better than I would have just knowing that Tatis got one home run out of the way, and maybe that unlocks something when you're so desperate for anything. And I think that's where we are with the Padres.
Yeah, I like that. I agree. You can't. It's what's the saying? Rome wasn't built in a day. Like, yeah, are you really going to go from the worst to the best? That the truth is,
Nova wasn't built in a day.
No, nothing was built in a day. Truthfully, including this beautiful spot we're at, Nova, Brazil, in Otay Ranch. But like, yeah, of course they're not going to go from 29th to first. So that is fair. Like, if your expectation is they go from the worst to the best, it's not reasonable. Heading into the season, to your point, we didn't think they'd have the best offense. We thought it'd be better than this.
Sure.
And we still think they're capable of being better than this. The amazing part of the story is this. You could have this offense and go 31-24. That's an incredible. We just talked to Dan Laing in D.C. He's like, C.J. Abrams has this OPS, and James Wood has this OPS, and this has never been done, and that's never been done. Oh, by the way, they're one game over 500. Like, there's multiple ways to go about it. That's what's so fascinating about it.
Great point.
Like, a lot of people would take the Nationals lineup right now, but I think Nationals fans would take the Padres record over what the Nats
I'll take their one World Series.
Yes. Yeah.
I'll take that
It's
over
true.
anything.
That counts in 2019.
It's so funny when he was saying that they were making fun of, like, they're over 500 and one of the radio stations or something like that. They were doing like a parade. I'm like, wait a minute. I'll take that parade. If you told me we got one in 2019, I'll take any parade.
First time over 500 since they won the World Series.
Is
this
that
late in the year? Because they won the World Series in 2019.
Oh,
right.
which is why I know we're referring back to that, but I didn't know that's the first time.
The first time this late in the season.
500
this late in the year, and it's only May. Incredible.
This late in the year, make it sound like it's
September
October.
15th. Yeah, exactly. Mark Rogers, the sports animal in Oklahoma City, will join us on the other side, getting you ready for Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals.
Stop flopping.
Coming up in 30 minutes, Shea and Wemby. Game 6 tonight, J.D. Wicker live at 5:30. San Diego State's athletic director. Final hour of Schaefer and Sliwa today. Coming up next on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Aleve. Padres are off today. They start a weekend series in Washington tomorrow night against the Nationals. First pitch will be at 3:45. Major League Baseball owners proposed a hard salary cap to the players today as part of the next CBA. This is their first firm cap proposal since 1994. And we've got game 6 of the Western Conference Finals tonight in the NBA with the Thunder take on the Spurs. That's set to tip off a little after 5:30. At some point, body pain may creep in and become your reality that day, but Aleve is here to keep you moving. One pill gives you up to 12 hours of body pain relief, so don't let pain hold you back. Try Aleve today. Use as directed.
It's Schaefer and Sliwa. Sean Schaefer and San Diego's own Alan Sliwa. Your Schaefer and Sliwa.
All right, final hour here. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760 from Novo, Brazil in Otay Ranch on this spectacular Thursday in America's finest city. JD Wicker will join us coming up at 5:30, but great to connect right now with Mark Rogers. He covers, of course, the Thunder for the Sports Animal in OKC, WWLS, and with us right now on San Diego Sports 760. Mark, we appreciate you taking time for us as we get ready for, obviously, the Thunder and the Spurs. There's all this talk nationally about the narratives around the Thunder and about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander specifically. What is the reaction in Oklahoma City? Like, it feels like everyone on the outside is piling in. I personally take no exception to it. I'm a Shai fan personally. But what's the belief of, like, Thunder fans about the way the Thunder are perceived by the rest of the NBA?
They're up in arms. They don't really like the broadcast team. And my discussion with them on the radio here is just like, hey, don't let it bother you. I mean, that's just something that somebody's going to say when you win games. And it's part of Shai's repertoire. He draws a lot of contact. He really hasn't gone to the free throw line as much in this series as you would think. He did a lot in game 5, but he really had not before then. So there's some of that on both sides. But it definitely has become the narrative of the Thunder for sure.
Why do you think it's been blown to this? I was telling John, I'm listening to Sirius XM today, and I'm listening to the NBA channel. That's all anybody's talking about. Like, here we are, this just phenomenal series. 3 games to 2 lead. Clearly, we'll see where the Knicks are, but of course, 2 of the top teams in the entire NBA. This could be the matchup for the next 5 years. How come why do you think this is getting the most energy and the actual series is not getting as much as it should be?
That's a really good question. I think if you look at SGA, he's a little bit of a boring superstar. He's very measured with the things that he says in press conferences. He's not getting a lot of attention that way. And his game is just ultra efficient. It's not above the rim, and it's not spectacular 3-point shots like Steph or Ant or Wemby or a lot of the other players in the NBA. It's incredible what he does. I mean, shooting 55% and averaging over 30 points a game. But I do think that fans look at him and rather than have something to say like, oh yeah, he's the most exciting leaper in the game or this or that, then they focus on the fact that, a lot of times he's going to the free throw line and a lot of times he's on the floor. I mean, Wemby's been on the floor a lot in this series as well. The Thunder are playing physically against him. The Spurs are playing physically against SGA on their end defensively. So I think it has a lot to do with that, is that he does his best attribute is his mid-range game and his efficiency. And that's just not super exciting compared to some other NBA stars.
That's an interesting take. Mark Rogers from the Sports Animal in Oklahoma City with us as we get ready for Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals tonight in San Antonio between the Spurs and the Thunder. It's funny because, as you know, Shai and this whole narrative gets the headlines, but Oklahoma City is such a well-rounded team. Their bench is incredibly impressive. How many NBA teams could be without a player of Jalen Williams' caliber and still win at this clip? Like, what is the secret sauce for Oklahoma City to win at this clip and have the success they're enjoying right now in the postseason? It's more than Shai, obviously.
I think it's Sam Presti. I mean, he has really hit on some guys at some non-traditional spots. A.J. Mitchell has quickly become a very important piece. He's not going to play tonight. They did just release injury news on Jalen Williams, who will play tonight. I think that's a big help to Oklahoma City, obviously, to just have the run that they've hit on in the draft here recently has given them a ton of depth. And then like a great find, I don't know if they're still even in this series without Jared McCain, who they got at the deadline. And that was, it was a brilliant move. You're giving up a pick and you get a guy in a rookie contract for 2 more years because the Thunder now are playing games with the salaries going forward to stay out of the second apron. So it's no question it's Sam Presti. And I think that it's the fact that this team has kind of grown up together organically. So there's not a lot of ego on it that you might see on some NBA teams. And these guys have played together. And I think that helps a lot too.
Mark, anybody worried that, if you're talking best front offices in all of basketball, it's not even close. It is Sam Presti, and it is the Oklahoma City Thunder. Has there ever been conversation, any concern that Sam Presti would look somewhere else, or one of these other franchises would make this just absolutely insane offer to try to lure Sam Presti over? He's so far and above every other front office. He's been doing this now. You go back to the James Harden and the Russell Westbrook and the Kevin Durant days. Anybody concerned that he leaves OKC one day?
They should be. I don't know why other teams haven't made, and maybe they have made overtures to him. I'm not sure why that, it hasn't, or some franchise hasn't really tried to go all in. The one thing, I don't think he's staying in Oklahoma City just because he loves the lifestyle here, or, he loves eating at Mickey Mantle's downtown. It's more, I think, that the association with this ownership group, that he's very comfortable with Clay Bennett, and, has a lot of say and does kind of his own thing, and maybe in a different market, and a bigger market with an owner that's used to calling the shots and getting things his own way, that he might not have that same kind of power.
Mark Rogers with us right now, again, in Oklahoma City. The Sports Animals, the Spurs get ready for the Thunder tonight, Game 6 of this best-of-7 series. It feels to me, tell me if you agree or disagree, it feels to me like Victor Wembanyama is almost taking on like a villain-like element to him, like what played out there late in Game 5, where he kind of went to the ears of his teammates. And Jared McCain all of a sudden is taking those hard fouls. And I don't know. It's just I feel like he's just taking on like a new persona here in the postseason. Do you see him being like a villain at all moving forward in the NBA?
My 83-year-old mom thinks he's a villain. And she's not. She's not the most avid Thunder fan, but this has been going on since Christmas. When the Spurs had won the game in Vegas against Oklahoma City, they gave Oklahoma City their second loss of the year. The Thunder started off 24-1. And there's a rivalry between Chet and Wemby that he's been a little more abrasive, I think, when it comes to the Thunder, as opposed to other games that, talking about wanting to win a bunch of MVPs. The game the other night when he checked out and he whispers into Plumlee's ear and Bismack Biyombo's ear, and then Plumlee goes out and just absolutely thrashes McCain. He's absolutely an enemy here. Now, as far as nationally goes, I think people looking at it objectively probably didn't like the fact that he did some of that. He had bad body language, I thought, in Game 5, and then didn't show up at the press conference. So he definitely has some serious victim or villain potential, but he's already a big time villain here.
Mark, curious to get your thoughts. So Game 6 tonight. In the 2 games San Antonio won, Wembanyama was incredible. Just almost a video game. In the games that the Thunder have won, the 3, I listen, for the most part, I thought kind of held him under control. When Wemby's at his best versus the Thunder, what's happening? When Wemby's struggling versus the Thunder, what's happening?
The Thunder are keeping him away from the basket when the Thunder are winning. So I think that's a big key tonight. I really kind of expect the Spurs to bounce back tonight just because they played so poorly. But it's been a great battle between Ihart for Oklahoma City and Wemby, and Ihart has won. The better of it really didn't happen in Game 1 because Hartenstein only played 12 minutes in that game. And that was a great adjustment by Daigneault to try to say, okay, well, what do we do against Wemby? We've got to be physical and try to push him out. So I think sometimes Wemby, and maybe this is one weakness that he has, is that he's content to hover around the 3-point line and take shots. He didn't make any in Game 5, which is big, but the Spurs need him to be around the rim and they need him to rebound. So I think in the series too, he's either had 20 rebounds or he's had less than 8. And so there's just really not been much in between. He has to play physically. I think his offense really helps his defense too. He's more engaged in the game. if he's in the flow of offense on the defensive end of the floor.
Mark Rogers with us right now in Oklahoma City. We're talking about this Game 6 coming up between the Thunder and the Spurs. Just a general question for you, Mark, like covering sports in Oklahoma City. Like, how enamored is the city with the Thunder, and how does it compare to college athletics? Like, when I think about the state of Oklahoma, as a 45-year-old, I'm thinking about the Sooners, I'm thinking about the Cowboys. Growing up, obviously, the Thunder come in there in the last 20 years, and they've taken the NBA by storm here recently. Like, how does your coverage of the Thunder compare to like the fandom of those college teams in Oklahoma?
I mean, Oklahoma football is so ingrained in the culture here. I'm surprised that the Thunder has done as well as it has in the short amount of time that they've been in Oklahoma City. But I mean, it's a huge deal. It kind of unites everybody. The Oklahoma softball team, who did not make the Women's College World Series this year after going 9 straight years, is also a huge deal. Like, you walk into a bar or a restaurant and they're playing in March. And that TVs are on those games. And so
awesome.
College sports is still, huge part of the fabric here. And I think Oklahoma City's still trying to learn a little bit about how to be an NBA city for the most part. If the Knicks do the Thunder make it, the Knicks play here, I think it's going to be a little bit of culture shock based on how much attention is given to that. So, but the people are crazy about the Thunder.
Final one for me, brother, and we appreciate you taking the time. Of course, the Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs going at it tonight for Game 6. What do you expect here these next couple of years in Oklahoma? I mean, it just feels like they're set up so well. It doesn't mean San Antonio's not going to compete. It doesn't mean other teams are not obviously going to go try to compete with the Oklahoma City Thunder. But what do you expect? I mean, a franchise that's having this much success and is also littered with so much young talent and so much flexibility. What are you expecting here these next couple of years?
I think you've seen in the playoffs how many teams deal with injuries. And so that's a big concern, is if you can keep your guys on the floor, you think that Oklahoma City is going to contend for a long period of time. There's going to be a breakup this year with one of these core players. Like Luke Dort has been a fan favorite. I don't think they're going to exercise their option on him. And so the fans will have to deal with losing some of their favorite players. But this team looks like it's going to contend for a while. I mean, we've got the thing going in the NBA right now where we haven't had a consecutive champion in quite a while. So putting one back to back would be really good. But this team, I think, with the core of Chet, SGA, Dub, and AJ Mitchell, whoever else it might be, should be around for a long period of time.
It's an incredible story. And yeah, their youth is a big story, obviously, moving forward as well. Mark, appreciate it. I know you're looking forward to the game, but thanks for hopping on here in San Diego.
Anytime, guys. Love talking to you.
Thank you, man.
Great stuff from Mark Rogers. Imagine covering the Thunder in Oklahoma City. They didn't even exist 20 years ago.
It's so funny, the Sam Presti thing. And what he said, too, he's like, I think Oklahoma's still kind of trying to get used to this whole NBA thing. Like, get used to what?
Yeah, they've gotten used to it.
They've been really good.
The amazing thing is, like, their history is actually pretty remarkable, considering even like the Harden, Durant, Westbrook days. I mean, they were humming then. They just didn't win it.
Brother, to me, that to me is more impressive that nobody talks about.
Yeah.
Like, Sam Presti made a critical mistake early on where he traded James Harden.
Yeah.
We're still talking about James Harden today. Imagine James
15 years ago.
15 years ago, right? So, but just that moment that you kind of like, hey, are you keeping Serge Ibaka or James Harden? Clearly, they should have kept James Harden. Then you run into the Kevin Durant walking out on your franchise overnight, like unexpectedly. Goes to the Golden State Warriors, and you got to kind of start this thing all over again. And they're a dominant franchise again. That to me is the most unbelievable thing.
Really is. All right, we are at Novo Brazil Otay Ranch until 6 p.m. J.D. Wicker is San Diego State's athletic director. He's going to join us coming up at 5:30 here this evening. Did we touch yesterday much on the Pac-12 and the TV deal and what it means for San Diego State? We will with J.D. Wicker, and we will coming up on the other side as well. We're here until 6 p.m. here on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. Looking forward to connecting with J.D. Wicker, San Diego State's athletic director. We're at Novo Brazil Otay Ranch here in Chula Vista until 6 p.m. Schaefer and Sliwa hanging out. And again, J.D. Wicker scheduled to join us coming up at 5:30. We got the news yesterday, Alan, that San Diego State knows its game times. This is the first time in school history. They know their home game times in May. Like typically you might get a game time or two. You might get a network or two. I think 10 of their 12 regular season games, we got a network and a time. The only two we didn't get are a game at Toledo. That's out of their conference, so it's outside of their jurisdiction. And then the flex game. Remember, the Pac-12 is a flex game in 2026, the final week of the regular season. But I kind of like knowing that San Diego State, for example, their home opener is going to be at 6:30 p.m. against Portland State. So we don't have to wait on that.
Is this a Pac-12 thing?
It's a Pac-12 thing. Okay. It's a part of their TV deal. Big Ten doesn't have this. The Pac-12's big calling card when it comes to television, and J.D. Wicker can talk more about this, is every single one of their home games is on linear television. Big 12 can't say that. There's games on ESPN+. Mountain West can't say that. They got games behind like a paywall.
That's big.
At the Mountain West app.
That's big.
Every game is on linear television, and every home game has a game time like months before kickoff, which is good, I think, if it like
planning wise, everything on sure.
Yeah, like if you live in the state of Idaho and you got to make a 2-hour drive to Boise State, you probably want to know the games at 6 p.m. 2 months early, not like 6 days early. Yeah, right. You just want to know what time the game is. Yeah, so I think it's an advantage.
And we're all kind of walking into this new Pac-12 with trying to kind of figure out what is it going to look like? What will be the positives? What will be the negatives? I think so far, and you and I have hit on this a couple different times the last couple of weeks, I feel like there's some decent momentum coming into the Pac-12.
Right.
Certain things that might stick out, like you just mentioned. Hey, we got some game times. I'm with you. It's kind of a nice little addition. If that wasn't the case before, I'm with you on that. By the way, is there any sport where they're basically holding back? I mean, the NBA, you know the schedule. I mean, yeah, you might get like a couple. Yes, I know in the NFL you got a few flex games, things along those lines, but for the most part, all the schedules laid out. I mean,
you're saying it's kind of unique to college football. Like, why do you wait? Like, if you're a Ohio State fan and they're playing Michigan State November 12th, I need to wait until November 6th to get the game time because it's television.
I know. And
they want to know where the game is.
What I was going to say, and I do understand, like, listen, is Penn State, Ohio State going to be a good game this year, or is Penn State going to suck? And if they're going to suck, maybe they don't want them at 5:30 or whatever the prime time would be. I understand that, but there's some positives here. And like you said, you'll be able to turn on the TV and watch a San Diego State game, which is obviously a good addition.
Yeah, 100%. And the other thing with J.D. Wicker, and I don't think you can get into specifics, but remember, one of the big stories that has played out for over a year is these schools that are leaving the Mountain West for the Pac-12 have come to a settlement with the schools that have remained in the Mountain West.
Yeah.
This played out over like 18 or 20 months. I don't think it's yet officially official. I don't think anyone's aware fully of the terms, but that's a big deal for the Pac-12 moving forward as well. So J.D. Wicker will join us coming up in about 5 or 10 minutes. Padres have the Nats, then the Phillies as they begin this road trip coming up tomorrow afternoon in D.C.
Before you jump to that,
yes,
are you keeping up at all with all this, the college football playoff? Are you keeping up with it? These conferences, I mean, this thing is taking, I don't know where it's going to go, but the SEC, who was it yesterday? I think it was
Greg Sankey.
No, it might have been Kirby Smart.
Yeah, who basically said, we'll take our ball and go home if we don't get what we want.
This was Sankey touts. SEC as oh no, anyways, there is like this war going on between these conferences.
The crazy thing is they gave the keys to the SEC and the Big Ten to figure out the format for the future of the playoff.
Yep.
And they can't agree on anything.
Smart hints at SEC secession.
Yeah,
basically,
exactly.
we'll do our own
thing if we don't get what we want. The SEC and the Big Ten had everything handed to them, and they can't come to an agreement on the format for the biggest event in college football, which is its playoff.
Yeah.
The Big Ten wants 24 teams. The SEC wants 16 teams. And because of that, it's this big stalemate that's playing out right now. By the way, it's not a Big Ten,
ACC,
thing.
Big 12,
Everyone
and Notre Dame are
24.
all on board for expanding to 24. The SEC is against that model at this time. Is SEC on ESPN?
That's the whole reason.
But wait, just something real quick, and God bless ESPN, and I understand at the end of the day they're looking out for their own business. But some of these stories, I'm like, can you be more obvious that
Right.
you're just aligning with the SEC?
You're kind of just. It seems like you're almost just like a puppet.
100%.
The Big Ten, Fox.
Yep.
The SEC, ESPN, and Fox's wishes are a larger postseason. Then they can get a piece of the pie because they're not in the playoff right now. They don't air the games.
Correct.
ESPN's like, yo, keep this thing smaller. We have the rights to these games.
And they're like, hey, don't worry. Some of the articles we'll put out there, we'll just kind of get this towards your.
I hate how it's like, on one hand, I hear a lot of people saying, like, we want what's best for the sport. But no, you don't. You want what's best for you.
Yeah.
And that is so clear as day.
Which is why Major League Baseball needs a salary cap.
Which is why baseball needs a salary cap.
That's what every angle we take, we'll go there.
If baseball needs a salary cap, does college athletics?
Oh my God!
Because they're not even. There's no salary cap and there's unlimited free agency.
Yeah, I don't even know what to make of college. The only thing I kind of hope happens is this kind of gets so ugly, and teams are, universities want change and all that stuff, that some shape, way, or form it benefits the Pac-12 and it benefits San Diego State.
Yeah,
that's all I care about.
Dutch, who will be here tonight.
Can we grab a couple of these teams from these other conferences,
put it back together?
Teams that are in the West Coast, that'd be phenomenal.
Yeah, Dutch has said this a lot. Like, there's not a sport in the world that operates actually with no cap and unlimited free agency. Like, that's a whole nother like what we're talking about with baseball. At least in baseball, they're contracted to play for teams. Manny can't say at the end of the 2026, I'm good. I'm going to see what's out there. I mean, you'd have basically no sport at that point. We have enough complaints. A lot of people have enough complaints without the cap. Imagine, not only do you not have a cap, every player, Paul Skeens, right? Jacob Mizorowski, whomever, right? Jack Samaro, they're all free agents. And they all can enter the portal at the end of every single year. What kind of sport would that be?
No, that's just
what's going on.
That's where we are
in football and basketball. All right, let's catch up with JD Wicker on those very topics on the other side here until 6 p.m. at Novo Brazil at Otay Ranch here in Chula Vista. Here until 6, San Diego State's athletic director JD Wicker will join us on the other side. This is Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, and live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone. Padres are off today. They're on their way to Washington for a weekend series against the Nationals tomorrow night. The first pitch will be at 3:45. Baseball owners proposed a hard salary cap to the players today as part of the next CBA. It's their first firm cap proposal since way back in 1994. And we got game 6 of the Western Conference Finals coming up here in about 10 minutes with the Thunder take on the Spurs. Starting stronger starts at AutoZone, where they've got battery solutions in the form of free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes them America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Is impressive.
JD Wicker
is impressive.
On cue, joining us right now. Do you have us? You can't hear me, or can you?
Oh, I can hear you.
You
very
got
loud.
Oh, it's a little
too
loud.
loud,
It's
too
a
loud.
little loud for JD Wicker. How about now?
A little up, a little bit.
A little up. Is that good?
I mean, how did that happen? How did that timing? What did you
The
guys
timing was
coordinate
we
together?
said 5:30, but I didn't know if you were gonna be here or be on the phone. But you swung by early for us, so we appreciate you doing that. How are you, JD?
I'm well. How are y'all?
Doing good. Thank you. Thank you.
We're doing well. JD Wicker, San Diego State's athletic director, is with us. We've got this coach's caravan event. This is good timing though, because yesterday the Pac-12 announced its TV times and networks for the upcoming football season. The first year the Aztecs are in the Pac-12. You got to be thrilled with the way this turns out. All the games on television.
Yep.
You know the start times for the home games well in advance. This is what you probably anticipated when this situation played out. Now you see it come to fruition.
Yeah, this was something that as we were in TV negotiations, that was something that we said that was important to us and the TV partners. Again, we're fortunate in the Mountain West. It was the same way for the most part. Fox was more of a 10 days out, but CBS Sportsnet always did. So USA were their only football, and then CW has got ACC, us in the Mountain West. Worked out great. It's good. Everybody can start planning their tailgates right now.
There you go.
That's right.
We saw this. This was about a week ago or so, and you can kind of elaborate more into it. But great article in the UT about how ticket sales were going and how you guys just were on pace to very optimistic. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
How much of that do you just kind of want to share and as far as the details go, and how much more do you want for some of those people who have yet to buy tickets, season tickets, to obviously their path to making that happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think importantly, one, we're pleased with where we are at this point. So thank you to everyone in Aztec Nation who's purchased tickets, San Diego sports fans, whoever it is. But Snapdragon has to look like Viejas does. It's got to be full. If we're going to continue taking this program to the next level as we move into the Pac-12, we've got to fill the building. It's got to be exciting. I mean, Sean was sharing last night at the Caravan, Boise State's using home atmosphere against us right now. That's the only thing they've got against us in recruiting. So fan base has got to step up. We brought our ticket prices down. We have the best stadium in the country. It's an exciting brand of football. We were 9-4 last year. We've got James Madison coming in. We've got the new Pac-12. It is a phenomenal home schedule. Now you know what time it is. Start planning. So
how critical is that pitch to these athletes that, you just said Boise State is using it to their advantage, as they should, if that's an advantage that they have? How critical is that, you think, to a student athlete?
It definitely plays a role. I mean, Wyoming's coach last year made fun of us. They played here. I mean, we kicked their tail, and he said, it was Halloween weekend. He said, however many people came dressed as empty seats at Snapdragon. So it's out there. It's been there. And that's something that, again, we've got San Diego. We've got Sean Lewis. We've got all, these great things to offer these student athletes, but they want to play in front of exciting crowds. And the Cal crowd was great. Boise last year, the number of people that showed up and sat in the rain, I was impressed. So we've done it before. I mean, I was talking with somebody, an alum this morning, I guess, and, thinking about the Stanford game back in 2017, the blackout game. And that's probably the best atmosphere I've seen since I've been in I'm 14 years now. That was the best atmosphere we've ever had, was that Stanford game. It was exciting. Next year we'll, figure out how we honor that game and 10 years out. But it's a great place to be. And we've seen how exciting that stadium can be.
It's so funny because my first year in San Diego, JD Wicker is with us right now. Schaefer and Slee with San Diego Sports 760. My first year in San Diego was 2017. And that was a really special team. Rashad Penny runs for 2,000 yards, finishes top 5 in the Heisman, the blackout game against the top 20 Stanford team.
Beat ASU, beat Stanford.
Arizona State. That's right. Rashad Penny had like a kick return touchdown, a punt return touchdown, a rushing touchdown, all in that same game. All right. So I want to switch gears to the there's only so much that can be probably publicly discussed, but what does it mean for the Pac-12 now that they can kind of turn the page from the settlement situation that's been playing out? The Pac-12 and the Mountain West, as San Diego State and others have departed for, obviously, the Pac-12. That's going to be settled, and that means what for San Diego State and the Pac-12 moving forward?
I mean, the good news is we're done with it. We can move forward. We know what the exit fee is going to be. So we're able, from a financial standpoint, to kind of put that in the past and, concentrate on what's going forward. We don't have that hanging over our heads. So we're excited to be done with it. And I mean, we're mostly done with it. We've still got to get, signatures on lines. There's still some work to do with the judge. But I think, we have an agreement in principle and we're ready to move forward.
I'll switch gears as well. San Diego State baseball. Tremendous season. Obviously, lose that final game to Washington State. Talk a little bit about what this year was for San Diego State baseball, and it clearly was incredibly exciting. I know they weren't able to win that final game and get to where they wanted to get to, but what was this season like for the program?
Yeah, that was huge for us. I mean, we had it's one of those things. San Diego State baseball has kind of been up and down.
Yep.
We've never really been consistently in the mix into the NCAA tournament, so it was important to get that program back. I mean, it's a storied program. You look at the people who've come through that program, it's amazing. So it's fun to have Steven Strasburg back in town, Bud Black's back in town. You see them at practice from time to time. Kevin Vance came in, San Diego native, invested in San Diego State and the community, and went out and got a bunch of great kids to come down. And, hopefully we'll have a lot of those kids back next year. We'll see how that plays out. With baseball, you have the draft there too when you get to that end of that third year. Yeah. So, but we feel really good about what we've got going forward with Kevin. He's a great human being, and people in San Diego love it. So we're excited to build on it.
Yeah, we talked so much about the Pac-12 and what it could mean for football, men's and women's basketball. You think about a sport like baseball.
Yeah.
Oregon State, as we know, I think is a 3-time national champion since the turn of the century. Dallas Baptist is in the baseball league. I mean, this is going to be, you talk about top 5 football or basketball, this is going to be one of the better baseball leagues, right?
Yeah, I didn't look at the final RPI yet, but I believe of the only Fresno State was going to be outside the top 100. So everybody else was inside the top 100 this year. So that's big. So that's a really good league.
I want to follow up about, as the transition becomes official, like that July 1st date from the Mountain West to the Pac-12, what's that going to mean for the department and just like the fan energy surrounding the program? What do you hope July 1st signifies for San Diegans and Aztec alum as they look forward to this fall and beyond?
I mean, we've talked Pac-12 forever in San Diego, so it's actually happening. The competition level is going to rise with who we've got across all of our sports, so we're really excited about that. We've got a lot of work to do still with some minutia. We've got a lot of Pac-12 branding to put up on campus, right. Basketball floors, football stadiums, all the facilities. So there's a lot of work like that to do, but there's just, there's a general energy, especially, if you look at football and the college football playoff. If we win the Pac-12, we should be in the college football playoff next year. So that's huge for us. The basketball, both men and women, that competition definitely steps up, and then across all of our sports. So it's a lot to be excited about.
Just staying with the football program for a quick second. What are some of your expectations this season? For those, I know we're early on, and I know there's a lot of time before kickoff and we get people down at Snapdragon Stadium, but how you sitting here today, seeing what Sean Lewis is obviously building, how do you feel about the football program today and where you think it can be this upcoming season?
Yeah, we've always talked about our expectation is to compete for conference championships. In the past, it used to be very important to be the conference champion because that was your entree into, whatever the college football playoff or those New Year's Day bowls, that type of thing. I think it's going to stick that you don't have to be the conference champion to access the college football playoff from the group of 6. But still, if you win the Pac-12, you're probably going to the college football playoff. So, looking at what we've got back offensively versus defensively, it's kind of the flip of what it was last year. We knew we were going to be pretty good defensively. Didn't know we were going to be that elite. Offensively, we should be really good. It's going to be exciting. Brand of football, and then the defensive side of the ball has got to come along. I think what's interesting, and we were talking about it on our ride up to Orange County last night for another caravan event with Sean. We were like, okay, how do you start breaking down those first 4 games? Because all 4 teams have new coaches. And then on top of new coaches, you have 40 to 70 new players. So it's like, okay, if you're scouting UCLA, are you watching James Madison film? Are you watching film of, the 10 guys that came from 10 different schools just to see what kind of, player they are? So that was that's a new interesting element to it, is not only new coaching staffs, but also all the new players that they bring in and trying to, understand what they bring to that team.
JD Wicker with us right now, San Diego State's athletic director on the home of the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760. We asked you this a couple of weeks ago. The whole college football playoff future, if it's 12, is it 16? Could it be as many as 24? What's the discernible impact potentially on a program like San Diego State? If it is larger, even if there isn't the guaranteed access to a second G6 program, would it still be advantageous to open it up and open up that at-large pool?
I would like to say yes. I don't totally trust that with Power 4 at this point, and that, they would put pressure on that. Sure. You would only see one G6 ranked, whereas, last year you had a couple G6s that if you had 24 may have been in the playoff. So I think that'll be important to see how they want to include us in, how it works before we say, okay, we're good with 12. We like 16 or 24. I mean, one of the things that I worry about with 24, especially if they're like, oh, you only get one. Well, great. We're going to get 8-4 Iowa versus 8-4 USC. Is that an exciting playoff game when, 10-2 or 11-1, San Diego State or Boise State sitting at home?
Right. That's an interesting point.
Is it kind of from the outside looking in? What do you make of all that? There's just like, we're joking about it, but you got these conferences. There's so much bickering. There's so much angling. There's so much. I mean, the SEC basically saying, I think we're talking about Kirby Smart, is basically like we could go on our own. As somebody who's a athletic director, and you're here in San Diego, what do you make of just watching this all from the outside and some of the stuff that's playing out?
Well, positive on, I guess it was yesterday, the Senators Cruz and Cantwell dropped their bill for the Senate. So I haven't read it yet. I've read various articles around this, 111 pages, so I'll get to it at some point. But that's a really good bill as far as addressing some of those key elements. One of the big ones is, any conference that has more than $1 billion in revenue can't join with another conference that does that. So basically, if this bill passes, the SEC and the Big Ten can't create a super conference based on what the bill says. So I think if we can get the bill, that's going to calm everybody down, because it gives the CSC teeth. It codifies the House settlement, so it allows the CSC to make rules and then go and enforce those rules. And you start enforcing those rules legitimately, you're going to see people starting, to calm down a little bit, and it's going to, get a little better. It's going to be easier to make rules, because there are a lot of people that are doing it the right way who are frustrated when they look at other people that aren't doing it the right way. And they're like, well, we want the CSC to go get them. But the CSC hasn't really been empowered completely yet at this point based on how everything's been set up. So my hope would be that bill, we can get it through Congress in the next couple months, and then we know what the pathway is forward, and that kind of calms things down a little bit.
In the meantime, get season tickets. We're 3 months away. In fact, I think I saw the tweet today from San Diego State football, 100 days away from San Diego State's opener against Portland State at Snapdragon Stadium, 6:30 p.m. kickoff. Nationally televised. You can grab your tickets right now at GoAztecs.com. Become a season ticket holder starting at $175. Should we go grab a kombucha, JD? We're at
Sure.
Novo, Brazil. You want
Absolutely. Why not?
JD's ready to go.
I've never had a kombucha before.
In your life?
So never.
Oh, well.
He lives off of them.
I know.
This guy lives off of them.
Did they have tofu flavored kombucha? Is that how that works?
We're going to ask.
I think edamame. There's an edamame.
No, I like
flavor.
edamame. That's we live on
We're going to
edamame
go
at
up
the
and
Wicker
ask
household.
at 6 p.m. JD, great to see you. Thanks for doing it.
Thank you.
All right,
man.
guys. Appreciate it very
Thank
much.
You. Good seeing you.
All right,
San Diego
thanks.
State's AD, JD Wicker. We react here until 6 p.m. Schaefer and Slee with San Diego Sports 760. Final time here, Schaefer and Sliwa. Final time today. As far as we know, final time today, not ever.
Yes.
We're at Novo, Brazil, Otay Ranch. Always great to connect with JD Wicker.
Awesome.
San Diego State Athletic Director.
Crazy what he said
about,
there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Towards the end about the salary cap in baseball.
We should have asked him, honestly. We should have asked him. He'd be an interesting person to actually get.
Yeah, you're right about that. Sure, his perspective.
Because again, college athletics are so weighted.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
There's
you're
such a have and have not. Like, how do you keep up with the Joneses in college athletics? How do you do it in baseball? I think it's it's an interesting conversation.
Mm-hmm.
How there's some similarities, there's some differences as well. But anyway, good to connect with JD Wicker.
Did the NBA start
game
yet?
on?
Because the NBA TV has the Cavs and the Knicks on. I mean,
the game's got to be on.
I mean, NBA
it's
TV
on over here.
Okay,
because TV where the game is on.
Well, NBA TV, I'd rather them just. I don't know if I need to see Cavs.
Yeah,
Knicks.
maybe they should.
Of course, they can't.
Okay, this game is 6
air the
minutes
game.
old. It's 14-12 Spurs.
It's over.
The Spurs are going to win.
Spurs
They'll
blew
hold
them
that.
out. No,
They'll hold that
Thunder are going to come storming back on a 3-0 run.
Here's my concern.
Yeah,
as someone that's rooting for Oklahoma City, If the Spurs win this game as expected, they're a 3.5 or 4 point favorite,
Yes.
depending on what it was when it
Yes.
closed. If the Spurs win this game, I don't know how confident I am in a winner take all. Like, for example, all the narrative, Shea gets every call, the Thunder get every call. Like, how will the game be officiated? One or two calls could be the determining factor.
Okay,
taking a little bit of home court away from my Thunder?
What is?
I want them to get the whistle. I don't know if they will.
As a Spurs Nation guy, right?
You are.
As a Spurs Nation guy, what do you think the NBA wants to happen? They want a Game 7 on Saturday night. And they want Spurs and the Knicks, correct?
They want the Spurs to win a close game or an overtime
Yes.
game. The ratings would be incredible.
Listen,
Victor Wembanyama.
I've seen the NBA be very creative sometimes. I'm not telling you that I'm a conspiracy theory guy, but I'm telling you I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theory guy.
Make no mistake, even as someone that enjoys the Thunder and is rooting for the Thunder, make no mistake, Wemby is the draw.
At the Madison Square Garden.
At Madison Square Garden. You talk about some all-time ratings.
Gosh.
Knicks, just New York.
Yep.
Wembanyama, who is a literal one of one in the history of the sport. Like,
Imagine
Oklahoma City is a great story.
Imagine Harrison Barnes coming through that Madison Square Garden tunnel.
Yeah, I'm imagining that right now. I'm also imagining what it would look like if we saw the Spurs in the NBA Finals against the New York Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a different animal than Oklahoma City. Either way, it's going to be well rated.
Yeah,
either way.
I'll tell you this. You can, because I know you're like
Mr. Thunder.
You're a nervous fan, which I like,
I am.
because I'm a nervous fan as well. I think my genuine thought here, I picked the Spurs in 7. I now do think the Thunder will win the series in 7.
No, you can't do that. You can't.
I'm not changing it. I'm just telling you what I think is going to happen. My pick is my pick. I picked Spurs in 7.
I can't believe you picked Spurs in 7, by the way, because I feel like if you picked Spurs in 7, you should have picked Spurs in 6. But now, with the benefit of hindsight, you might be right, because now they need the 6th game to get to
Could
the
be right.
Game. And they've already won in Oklahoma.
I'll tell you why the Spurs in 7 is because the matchup we knew was going to be close. We knew San Antonio also had great success against the Thunder during the regular season.
Yep, 4 out of 5.
So like going 7 is not a surprise. And then I let my Spurs Nation kind of kick in from there. I don't think I've ever said that in my life.
Your Spurs Nation, exactly. Here's the thing: if the Thunder were 3-0 at home and the Spurs are 3-0 at home, I'd feel much more confident about the Thunder if this goes 7 games.
No, both squads can win on each other's
floor. The fact that San Antonio, now listen, the way they won game 1 was incredibly.
Just a miraculous
They played
game.
very well by and large, but there were some ridiculous moments, including everyone's going to remember Wemby's pull-up 30-footer.
30-footer.
Late in regulation, or maybe it was late in the first overtime.
It was to get, I think, to a first overtime.
To get to a first overtime.
Yeah.
So,
maybe it was overtime. I can't remember.
On one hand, I'm in favor of a Game 7 because those are special and unique and you remember them. But on the other
Saturday night, you get to kick back and watch a Game 7. What are you doing?
As opposed to, you're right, like what I prefer, everyone wants a Game 7, by and large. Sports fans are going to want
This is what would be set up on Saturday, okay? We get a Game 7 between the Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs, and then we probably get an infield single from Tatis.
From Tatis, yeah. Perfect day.
I mean, can you ask for anything more?
Could it be better than that to be a San Diego sports fan watching the Game 7 and watching the Padres try to scratch across a run? How about a hit with a runner in scoring position? Could you see that this weekend?
What's the number? What's the number up to? 34?
35.
35.
Me being, I mean, is anyone? It's a lot of data.
I think the NBA, or I think Major League Baseball stops tracking after a certain point. I think after 30, they say that's enough. We're not going to track this stat anymore.
You know what I was thinking about last night? Like, what is Mike Schilt thinking watching this? Maybe there's a reason why they bunted so much last year. You want to know why?
Yeah.
Because they were trying to manufacture something that they can't do right now.
Wasn't he getting demolished for that strategy last year?
Absolutely, he was. But now it makes more sense, doesn't it?
Luis Ariz on this team would look like
Fernando Tatis Jr., but better.
He'd look like Sammy Sosa.
Right? Yeah, I mean, he might be back, honestly. At this pace, it's possible that he's going to be back. But, yeah, this weekend we've got, again, Nats Padres. We're back tomorrow, by the way, at 3 p.m. Get you ready.
What time is what are we looking at tomorrow?
3:40.
3:40? Okay.
Not
so by the
ideal.
time we get started.
You know what, though? We'll have Kevin off the top of the show. So Kevin AC will join us from D.C. right off of the show.
Yep.
And we'll get you ready. So before you are watching the Padres, be with us tomorrow afternoon.
And during the Padres, just be with us. We'll keep you updated.
We'll
Don't worry
hang with
about
you
that. We
tomorrow.
got a lot of stuff that we're going to hit on.
And then we'll be talking about Game 7. I'm trying to reverse. I'm trying to jinx it to not happen.
That's how you do it. Give us a little bit of an idea here. So
this is a restaurant.
Your event coming up.
They serve food.
Your event coming up. This is a little rally call here for San Diego State? Like, give me kind of
these. I love these events, these coaches' caravans. They go around the county and actually out of the county, Orange County and LA County as well. They've been to
awesome. They do that
over the years. But you got, the Brian Dutchers, the Sean Lewises. I see Ryan Hopkins. He's their men's soccer head coach.
Okay.
Is here. Stacey Terry Hudson will be here, the women's basketball coach. Talking to, a group of a few dozen alumni about their programs and getting people ready for the upcoming school year at San Diego State. So it's cool just to get out in the community and interact with alums.
Well, if you haven't been to Novo, too, this is a phenomenal location. And I've been down. I was telling you this. I've been down to Otay Ranch in a little bit. So it's been a little while since I've been down here. So this is a cool event to be here as well. And share a kombucha with John Schaefer.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to, after we sign off, I'm going to go grab one. I'm going to grab one for JD. Is that a bad idea?
No, he's never had one.
Do you go alcohol or no alcohol?
No alcohol. Go JD. No alcohol. Yeah.
What if we just put like 8 shots in the thing?
You could do that too.
All right. Back tomorrow.
A little risky
for
your
Imagine
future.
what you'd be saying, like speaking to the alums. Let me tell you something. All right.
Just give him a standing go.
We're back tomorrow at 3 p.m. talking about the Padres and the Nats. Getting you ready for that series with Kevin Acee, who will join us off the top of the show. If you missed anything today, go to sportssd.com or the iHeartRadio app. For Brent and Mike Usher, our buddy Keaton here as well. For Alan, I'm John. This is Schaefer and Sliwa on San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio
Salary
app.
cap.
Salary cap. Salary floor.